All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are live with us here at the Lights Out Sports Podcast. On this episode, we talk triples, we talk quarterbacks for the Colts, the Cardinals, and one that might not get the amount of respect that Cheez and I thinks he deserves. On this pre-trade deadline special, we'll revisit and we'll answer who won the Juan Soto trade. We'll talk MLB and NFL Hall of Fame. We'll talk Arizona Diamondbacks with George from Locked On Diamondbacks. We'll also tell you what active player just matched Nolan Ryan and how he did it. We'll play Lights Out Trivia, and we will ask, are home runs really that important? All of that and more with me, my buddy Cheez, and you doing everything that you guys know how to do, and that is Lights Out.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Tonight, we rewrite the rules. The countdown has begun. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Different feel today. We got a special show. It is going to be almost exclusively MLB trade deadline stuff. That's why we put the spinning baseball in between us there. How you like that graphic, Cheez? What do you think?
I really do like it. And I you know what? My favorite color is green, so I like the background as well.
Is your favorite color green because of money, or your favorite color is just green because?
Just because, not because of money.
Okay.
I'm not super greedy.
Oh no, no, you're not actually. I've known you for a little bit now. You are not super greedy, but I thought maybe green and gold with the Green Bay Packers, and I've got the green and gold Diamondback stuff on today. We've already got a couple of people with us here. What's going on?
I think the Diamondbacks have 28 hats every year. They seem to have every color, everything. I'd never seen a team in any sport more than the Diamondbacks have different hats.
Yep.
They do. They have so many hats. They want you to buy all of them. I mean, there's some purple ones out there. There got to be some purple ones out there. That you have some purple ones?
Oh, I'm probably due here. Let's see. I got a
Randy Johnson purple hat. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see this. I have a whole slew.
Yes.
Those are just the Diamondbacks hats. Yes.
They change colors at times. They want you to buy every hat. That's what they do. And look, Mike, he took the bait.
Yep, I did. I took the bait. I've got pretty much all of them. All right, Dave, we appreciate you. Hi, buddy. And then, of course,
hi.
What we got here?
Kristen,
right?
Christy. I think it's Christy. Hi, Christy.
We appreciate all of you joining us right away, right here. The Lockdown Diamondbacks.
I like how Zach said what's going on and then said hi. It's like make sure,
Yeah, you make sure he was on there, right?
Make sure we know.
Make sure we know. We got it, buddy. We got it.
Yeah, we got it. Appreciate that.
All right.
Heads up.
Cheez, how's your week been, bud?
It's been a week. How about you, man?
I'm in the same kind of boat. I mean, finally, I was kind of couch bound for a while. Now I'm good. I'm up doing my thing. So yeah.
Got back into it.
Got back into it.
So you're back to normal.
Well,
as
I don't know about
normal is for
normal.
you.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, as normal is for you, not normal
okay,
since it's every
as
day.
normal as it is for me.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so before we go too far into the Lights Out Sports podcast, let us give you a couple of things. This coming Monday, Cheez, right? The trade deadline. We're doing a pre-trade deadline special right now. We'll have George Lund from the Arizona Diamondbacks on here in just a little bit. He is the Locked On Diamondbacks guy. We'll have him on here to talk to him about what exactly he and myself and Cheez think the Diamondbacks are going to do. That'll be a great spot with him. And then on Monday, we are actually going to have a trade deadline show. Cheez, tell us when, because I know I'm going to mess up the time. So you tell us when and where, all that stuff, buddy.
We should have talked about this before we went live. So the trade deadline ends at 6 Eastern on Monday, August 3rd. We are going to go live 2 hours before at the latest. 2 hours before. So 4 Eastern, 3 Central, 2 Mountain Time, and 1 o'clock Pacific or Arizona time. Because Arizona time is Pacific now. Once we get to November, it will switch to Mountain Time. So look, it's not Mike's fault. Arizona has it right. They don't change the time. Everyone else does. Arizona is the only state that has this right. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So
that's correct.
Yes. Trade deadline. I'm so glad it used to be like noon or 1 o'clock. Okay, so it's 6 p.m. But we'll go live 2 hours before the trade deadline, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on August 3rd, this coming Monday.
And I was telling people noon, so maybe we'll go on 3 hours ahead of time. You're right. We should have talked about this before we got on the air, but
we could be noon. But maybe we do 3 Eastern. Just make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channels, and you will go ahead and tell them your YouTube. I'll tell them mine. Might as well do it right now.
May as well, right? All Gloves Off Sports Media is our YouTube channel that does everybody. All of the podcasts in the conglomerate. We have the Red Hot Reds. We have Minor League Mondays. We have the Lights Out Sports Podcast. Of course, Football with Cheez is on there. Cheap Pop Society, the Sports Pulpit, all era sports with Sirhan. We have Fanboy Unleashed. And, of course, we have the newest one, which we will have him as a special guest on that trade deadline special on Monday from far end of the bench. So that is our YouTube channel. Cheez, what's yours, buddy?
It's pretty simple. Football with Cheez. Cheez, like cheese, it's spelled like that. So yeah, Football with Cheez. Subscribe, hit the bell. I cover all 32 teams, and I also talk a little college football. Big emphasis on the draft as well.
Okay. So then not only are we going to do that, we got another special thing coming up. Cheez, I know you're ready for this one. Football season is right around the corner, and we are going to do a watch-along for the very first game in Canton, Ohio, where the Carolina Panthers will go up against the Arizona Cardinals. That is the very first game, the Hall of Fame game, as it is called. And when's that going to be, Cheez?
So that is Thursday, a week from this coming Thursday, August 6th. It starts at 8 Eastern, 5 Mike time. So you got to tell Mike the time because
you have to tell Mike the time.
Yeah, so it's 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, and Arizona time. So we will go live probably right before the game starts. We'll talk it up, but we will go live for the Hall of Fame game, and we'll talk a lot of football stuff, not just the Hall of Fame game stuff. So. It's just a great football discussion, so make sure you come out for that. That's a week from Thursday.
Right. So we got this coming Monday, the trade deadline, and we got a week from Thursday. We will do the Hall of Fame game watch-along special as well. So we got some great stuff coming up right here on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. Myself and Cheez will be right along with you the entire way. And speaking of being right along with you the entire way, Cheez, why don't we get going here with the 5 Flamin' 5 in 5? All right, let's explain
What's that?
Oh, yeah, let's explain it to those people who may be first-time listeners. First of all, we love first-time listeners, and if you are, leave us a comment. We'll shout you out here on the show itself, and let's talk about it. This is what the 5 Flamin' 5 is. Cheez gets 5 minutes, and he gets 5 questions. If he can get all 5 questions answered in those 5 minutes, he will not burst into flames. But if he can't, and he's not done it yet so far,
close.
The fire just might overtake him, and it might be a bad scene live on the air. But we'll hope not. And then he gets a bonus question, and then we'll jump into some of our other topics. But the 5 Flamin' 5 is first. Cheez. The timer will start when I complete the first question. Are you ready, sir?
Sure.
Sure. We're even going to put a little bit of Madden in here this time. It's going to be interesting to see what you think about this particular topic. And we will do it right now. All right, Cheez. This year, Madden 27, the video game, puts 6 players at a 99 out of 100 overall. Matthew Stafford, who we'll talk about later in the show, Josh Allen, Myles Garrett, Jackson Smith and Jigma, Jamar Chase, and Trey McBride. Do any of those 6, again, I'll give them to you again, Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, Myles Garrett, Jackson Smith, and Jigma, just because I love saying that name, Jamar Chase, and Trey McBride. Do any of those 6 not deserve that status?
I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. They're all coming off incredible seasons, and Madden typically rewards you for having a great year, not necessarily what you've done in the past, not necessarily how old you are, which, I haven't played Madden in, I don't even know how long. Let's put it this way. Mike was probably in his 30s, so a long time ago. No, I think it rewards people. I like that some of the veterans, some people in their 30s get the high grade. So I like it. Those 6 players are pretty amazing.
Okay. Cheez does not have any problem with any of those.
I had a problem with the cover, but I made a whole video about that. It's just my channel, Madden cover reaction.
Okay, we'll do that. Second question, Cheez. Quarterback Daniel Jones said on the Pat McAfee show a couple days ago that he is fully cleared from his torn Achilles. My question to you is, can the Colts win a Super Bowl with him as their quarterback?
Very unlikely. He got off to a really good start last year, and people were talking like maybe MVP. Before he got hurt, a lot of people forget this. Before he got hurt, he was starting to be the old Daniel Jones, inconsistent. Like, what are you doing? Like, he'll make some plays because he's got talent, but then other times you're like, Daniel Jones, like, just throwing with the other team, making the worst possible choice when he has pressure. So probably not. I think he would have to get a lot of help around him. Everything would have to click. But he's not in the same Sam Darnold, Jalen Hurts level. So the last 2 Super Bowl champions, they had a lot of help around them. So I don't think so.
Okay. So the answer is the only way is if everything clicks around him.
And
Number 3. All right, buddy. Pete Crow Armstrong, your guy from the Chicago Cubs, has now tallied 25 steals, 22 homers, and 5 triples. Only 2 other players in MLB history have done all 3 of those before August 1st. The late, great Davey Lopez, who's very underrated, and Ken Williams, yes, the guy who was in the front office with the Chicago White Sox.
White Sox.
Yes.
They don't like him there.
Had to throw that in there, buddy. Is PCA the new favorite for MVP in the National League?
Yes, he is. He should be the overwhelming favorite. Shohei Ohtani, we've talked about this last week. I think they should separate pitching and hitting, but as long as he's healthy, he's probably going to win it every year. But he's not healthy, and he's going to miss time. And even if he didn't miss time, they should separate them. But as far as hitter and defense and everything, I mean, he's over 7 WAR. Absolutely, he should be.
All right, we might talk about that a little bit more before this whole thing is done. But, for the sake of time, let's get to our 4th question. Cheez, did the Arizona Cardinals give in when they increased quarterback Jacoby Brissett's contract from $1.5 million guarantee to a $15.5 million guarantee? Or did they just simply need him to be their starting quarterback?
No, they gave in. I don't understand this. He didn't have leverage. They had signed Gardner Minshew. They drafted, oh my God, the name just left.
Carson
Beck. Yeah. He didn't really have leverage, and he put up decent stats last year, but I've rewatched some Cardinals film. It was brutal, by the way. He didn't. There's nothing he did that say, oh man, he elevated them so much. So I think they gave in. I don't think they needed to do this, but I think it was just like, okay, let's just get him in camp. Let's give him something. It doesn't make any sense to me.
All right. So last, Corbin Carroll is now tied with Mike Trout and Starling Marte for the most triples with 55.
Active.
Trout and Marte have played in over 1,500 games each, and Corbin Carroll did it at only 587. Cheez, why is a triple so hard to get in Major League Baseball?
That's active? Is he number one in active players?
Yes.
It's in the league like 5 years?
Yes.
Not even. Like, why is it so hard to get? It's two reasons. Okay, God, I'm running out of time. First of all, you have to be able to hit the ball in the gap. You have to have gap-to-gap ability, and then you have to have speed to get to third base. So you have to hit a double, and then you have to have speed to get to third. And also, some ballparks, like Wrigley Field, it just doesn't have a big gap. So you have to be in a good ballpark, you have to hit doubles, and you have to turn them into triples.
Oh, he did it again. Scene.
Barely.
No, I know for
I
those
really
of
thought
you...
I was going to fail at the last question because there was a lot going on there.
So I know a lot of you looked at it and were like, if you're looking at it on the other spot to where you look at it on your cell phone, if you're looking at that view, I know it just took our faces off, but it's okay. It makes you miss Cheez's beautiful face and
That's true.
Yes. And what it does is it doesn't make everything look so frightening because I wasn't on the screen. So it was okay. It really was. It was okay.
Just being accurate.
Okay, so now, Cheez, because you got everything right, you get the bonus question. And with this bonus question, Cheez, I want to dive in to the Cardinals and the Jacoby Brissett. All these stats that I'm going to give you are provided by SportTrack.com, just so everybody knows, and we give them credit for everything. First, is a 1-year, $15.5 million contract too much for Jacoby Brissett?
That's a tough question to answer because he's definitely not a top 20 quarterback.
Okay.
But how do you evaluate quarterbacks? If this guy's worth this, then this guy's worth that. So maybe as far as what he's done production-wise, but I just don't think he elevated. I think he's efficient. I think he throws the ball on time. I think they were behind a lot, and some of his stats were elevated. And I think Trey McBride got open a lot as well. We just talked about McBride and Michael Wilson.
Yeah, we'll talk about all of them here in just a little bit as well.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting discussion.
He had a big year, so I wouldn't have given that. I think he's a good backup, and that's way overpaying a good backup. But they don't have another option, I guess, as he's the best quarterback on the roster.
Do you think this deal took so long to get done because he is actually self-represented?
Yes, I do. I think another voice in the room probably would have helped an agent saying, look, this is how it is. So yeah, I do. I think that's probably one of the biggest issues.
Okay, so I'm going to get into kind of the structure of the deal here with you, Cheez. So this is a breakdown of the deal. Again, SportTrack.com gives us all this information. It's a $4.8 million base salary. Then there's a $1.75 million signing bonus, a $510,000 roster bonus, a $50,000 workout bonus, and then there's $2 million in possible incentives. The total cap hit this year for the Cardinals will be $9.2 million. So even though it's 15.5, it's only 9.2 because of how the salary and structure breaks down. Is this a smart move by the Cardinals to only make it 9.2 instead of the 15.5? And maybe talk to us a little bit about how different contracts are broken down structure-wise.
It's not going to hurt their cap going forward. Obviously, it's really not a cap issue at all. I think it's just more. The bigger issue is the next Cardinal player that's 1 year left in his contract, like Brissett did, can say, you gave him a raise. Well, why you should give me one. and the Cardinals want them to play out their contract. You gave in to their demands. It doesn't hurt their cap. Their cap situation's fine, especially in the future going forward. I just feel like it's more of it could hurt them down the. I know he's a quarterback; it's different positions, different, but it still could hurt them down the road for players wanting a new deal and the Cardinals not wanting to give them a new deal.
Copy. And Raman, we give you the thumbs up. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. We appreciate it. All right. To go a little bit further, to dig a little bit deeper, after knowing the structure of the deal, Cheez, and the 9.2 cap hit, this is only a little above 3% of the possible league cap. So is it really that much to spend on your projected starting quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your starting quarterback. I mean, if it's, Josh Allen, that's different. It's Jacoby Brissett. So, no, obviously in general, no. If someone spends 3% on their quarterback, that's great. But, it's one of those contracts. It's not going to hurt their cap. It's just, to me, it's just unnecessary.
All right. And then the last thing, I can't wait to get your take on this because I think this is, I don't know where you're going to fall at. If you're going to fall pro player or pro salary or pro fan, this is going to be interesting from me to you because we have not discussed this prior to this question. Okay. Jacoby Brissett has made $68 million in 10 years in the NFL, mostly as a backup. What does this say, Cheez, about the exorbitant NFL salaries?
Well, I'll say this. I guess 2 points. One, even backup quarterbacks are valuable now. Some teams will overpay them because it's just you have to have a quarterback. You have to.
Okay.
But I think he would not have nearly that much money if Andrew Luck hadn't retired. He was the backup for the Colts. And when Andrew Luck retired, they panicked and paid him way more money than they should. Knowing he's one of the better backups, okay, well, maybe we can win with him. They could. They should have known. I can't believe they paid him starter money at the time. They extended him. And it was a knee-jerk reaction. It was a panic. And that's probably why it's such a high number. It'd probably be half that is my guess. I haven't ran the numbers. But to answer your question, I think it's just because he's a quarterback and the Colts panicked.
All right, so then I guess I'll do a follow-up question that wasn't planned. Did the Cardinals make the same mistake the Colts did?
The Cardinals didn't give him a 3-year deal. They didn't give him a 3-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I mean, the Cardinals, it's not necessarily a mistake. The only way it's a mistake is if they feel like we have to play him because we paid him. If Carson Beck has a better preseason or Brissett, maybe in a blowout or maybe gets hurt for one game and Beck comes in, looks amazing, and whoa, we paid Jacoby Brissett. Let's not play Carson Beck. Then it's a mistake if you play him because of the money. That's the only way it's a mistake. But I just didn't think they had to pay him the money. I didn't think they had to. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're just trying to let's get along. Let's make sure there's no issues. We don't want any controversy in camp. Who knows? I don't know. What do you think? Why do you think they did? Because you live in Arizona. Tell me.
I do, and I was surprised. I'll be very honest with you. I was really, really surprised. A lot of the sports people around here, the local radio stations and some of the other streamers and stuff, of course, here in Arizona, were not surprised that they finally did pay him. And in fact, they looked at it and said 15.5 is probably a reasonable number. I thought it was an overpay, first of all, and I really thought, like what we had discussed on this show, they were not going to do anything with Jacoby Brissett. They were going to let him sit out, and he was going to be the guy who they were going to blame. They were going to put Carson Beck in, and if he was terrible, they were going to blame him and Brissett. And if he was great, they were going to say, oh, we didn't need Brissett anyway. Look, we've got our quarterback of the future, and here he is. So I thought they were really set up for a win, and now I think they're at least not as set up for the win, because you and I both know they're not winning but maybe a handful of games this season. I'm going to say 3 or 4 at the most.
They could win more than that, but the schedule is brutal. It's probably the toughest schedule in the NFL. a lot would have to go their way for them to win more than 4 games. Probably they could, but a lot would have to go their way.
I mean, they do have Jeremiah Love. They do have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson. We'll talk about those guys here in just a little bit. They've got Trey McBride, of course, who we just spoke about earlier.
They have pieces, but overall, and the defense is a problem. Defense is a huge problem, especially in the fourth quarter. Rewatching their games, it's just the fourth quarter. It's like the defense just every time they need to get stopped, they couldn't get a stop. They were in the wrong spot, missed assignment. All of a sudden, no pass for it. Like they just every time they need to do something, they couldn't do it. So the defense is still a huge problem.
But do you think that was because a lot of the defensive stuff, and you had Jonathan Gannon, who was the big defensive-minded guy, now that he's gone, do you think maybe some of those issues will be fixed?
I hope that he was not the problem. Because he's defensive coordinator.
Now, why do you hope that, sir?
I don't know. I just I don't know if I've ever seen a team play worse in the fourth quarter consistently as Arizona Cardinals last year. But the defense has got to take a big step for them to, like you said, win more than 3 or 4 games. It just was not good enough.
I mean, they signed Algier. They've also got, hold on, I can't think of the veteran's name, the running back that they have as well.
James Conner. But they also, they're going to get Will Johnson and Walter Nolan hopefully healthy for a whole year. That should help the defense. Those were 2 really good picks. Those were, I think a lot of people were excited that they got both those players. The Walter Nolan, there was a big rumor that he was going to go like 12th overall. The Cowboys falls to 16, I think. And then Will Johnson, I had him like 15th, I think, on my board because I don't do medical. There was a big injury issue. He falls the 2nd round, cornerback from Michigan. So they have 2 really talented players. If they're healthy, it could really improve the defense.
Okay. So, again, this coming Monday, we're going to do a trade deadline live special while the trade deadline's going on, like the last 3 or so hours of it. We have the ability, both Cheez and I, we are both going to be off that day, so we have the ability to start a little early, go a little later. So just make sure you're tuned in, that you hit the bell for notifications and everything on our social media platforms. We will have Jimmy from the far end of the bench. He'll be on with us, and I think a couple of other guests, crossing my fingers, that we can get for that as well. So we'll talk to him about Colorado Rockies. We'll ask him how he got the name Far Side of the Bench. We'll talk about Chris Bryant. We'll talk about all kinds of other stuff. Ethan Holiday, I know we're going to look at some prospects that they have and what they should do with some of the players that they have now, like Antonio Senzatella, Jake McCarthy, and Troy Johnston, just to name a few. So Cheez and I, we're kind of preparing for the Rockies guy to be here in the beginning, and then we're going to talk to George later on about the Arizona Diamondbacks. So we didn't do a whole lot of stuff here in the middle. But we did do some things, and we've kind of scrambled a little bit. We got some other topics to go with and put together. So, Cheez, let's do this. I like this NFL topic. Let's stay on the NFL for a second, and then we'll jump into all of our Major League Baseball stuff. And let's do this. Most passing touchdowns in the 2010s, Cheez. Let me give you the list from bottom to top, 10 to number 1. And by the way, we are preparing to do a special lights out list as we get a little bit closer to football season. We'll start doing all that. It'll be a separate show. We're really looking forward to that. We know you guys love the lights out list as we do a top 10 sort of here, and we'll talk about it. Number 10, most passing touchdowns in the 2010s.
I hope Aaron Rodgers is first. Sorry, go ahead.
Do what now?
I said, I hope Aaron Rodgers is first. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so most passing touchdowns in the 2010s. Cheez is hoping for Aaron Rodgers to be number 1. We'll see. Andy Dalton, though, is number 10 with 204. Okay. Russell Wilson is 9, 227. Ben Roethlisberger comes in at 8 with 236. Then he's topped by Eli Manning at 241. Matthew Stafford at 243. Matt Ryan, 283. Phillip Rivers is number 4 with 291. Number 3, Cheez, with 305. Aaron Rodgers. So
Ah.
there's two guys over top of him.
He missed half a year at 1 year. Yeah.
He did. So he's got 305. Tom Brady is number 2 with 316. And who's number 1? With 345, which is the most passing touchdowns into 2010. Drew Brees is number 1.
Yeah.
345. So we've got some questions as far as this topic. So are you surprised by the guy who was number 1, Cheez, and Drew Brees?
Not when you told me, because he just seemed to always be healthy, and he played in the dome, and Brees was just amazing. So no, it didn't. It makes sense. I was like, Brady, Rodgers, who's had him? Okay, Brees, that makes sense. Those three, pretty much the 2010s, were the 3 best quarterbacks. I guess maybe Peyton Manning was, by then he retired somewhere in the middle there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So my second question to you, Cheez, what does it say? And I teased this in the open. We were going to talk about a Colts quarterback. We did that in the 5 and 5 when we said that Daniel Jones is ready. And I asked you if you thought that they can win a Super Bowl with him. If you're just now tuning in, rewind this back and listen to that. You'll get Cheez's response from there. We are going to talk about a couple of other quarterbacks as this segment kind of rolls along here. So what does it say, Cheez, about Matthew Stafford that he is still throwing touchdowns? He has a total, by the way, of 423 touchdowns lifetime and 64,516 yards in his career. We'll be doing a lights out trivia thing here in just a moment to kind of all put this together as well. But Cheez, what's it say about Stafford? Because he was doing it back in the 2010s really well, and he's still doing it well.
It says he's just a great quarterback. Brady and Rodgers still doing it at his age. They were still winning MVPs. Rodgers was around his age winning MVPs. Brady was still at a high level. So yeah, he's just a really good quarterback, and he's in a great system. And let's be honest, they got a really good offense too. So yeah, Stafford's probably, we probably didn't appreciate him enough when he was younger, just because he never won anything. But he still, you know what I mean? So we probably didn't realize how good he was.
So do you think Matt gets his deserved for what he's done in his NFL career? Does he get everything he deserves, or is he looked at as like a second-tier quarterback? Where do you think the fans at least fall as far as Matthew Stafford goes?
I think once he won the Super Bowl, and then he won a Super Bowl 5 years ago, and now he's won an MVP, I think he's fine. I think it's exactly where it needs to be. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. People realize now. And as long as his back holds up, because there was some issue last offseason with his back, he's probably got a few good more years in him. Why I hated the draft pick of Ty Simpson, as you know. You remember that? I thought it was a horrible pick, my least favorite pick in the entire draft. Yeah, I think he's if he holds up physically, I think he's got at least a few more good years in him.
Okay. Next thing, how many of these 10 quarterbacks are Hall of Famers? And I'll tease real quick that we are going to talk about the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame in our final segment, batting cleanup as well. Of course, we just had some inductees, and we got a pretty good stat about these inductees. But let me give you these guys again, Cheez, so that you can think about it for a second, and then I'll ask how many of these guys are going to be Hall of Famers. You got Andy Dalton starting from 10 to 1, Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning, Matthew Stafford, Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees. Of these 10, give me a number. How many are Hall of Famers, Cheez?
I think 9 for sure. 8 for sure. They probably will all eventually get in. Don't you think so? Some of them could wait a while, but I think they're all going to eventually get in. Don't you?
Andy Dalton is going to get in?
Oh, not Andy Dalton. Did you say Andy Dalton?
Yeah, Andy Dalton's number 10.
Oh, no. Oh, definitely not. Yeah, no. Definitely not Andy Dalton. The other 9 for sure. Philip Rivers and Eli Manning might have to wait. Well, Philip Rivers has to wait more now because he played last year, but they might have to wait. They might not get in like right away. But besides Andy Dalton, I think they all get in.
So hasn't Eli Manning already been? He has been able to go into the Hall of Fame, and he's not been elected yet. You think he will eventually get elected?
I would be shocked if he doesn't get in next time. The thing with Eli is he had 2 amazing postseasons, and then the rest of his career he was just a good but not great quarterback. And you have to be great to make the Hall of Fame. But he had 2 amazing postseasons and won 2 Super Bowls doing it.
Yeah.
So he's kind of the opposite of Philip Rivers, who is much more consistent throughout his career. They're kind of very different, but won no titles. So I do think you have to. I mean, some of the throws Eli made down the stretch in those playoff runs were just incredible. Like, holy crap, did he just do that? So because of that, I think eventually he'll get enough votes to get in.
All right. So, I mean, I know that he's pretty high on this list, but I can tell you, I'm not the big football aficionado that you are, but I can't say when somebody says Matt Ryan, Hall of Fame quarterback, I gotta kind of scratch my head. What would Matt Ryan do to get into the Hall of Fame, Cheez?
He was really good. He had some years in there, like 10, 12 years ago, where he was like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He had like a 3 or 4 year stretch where he was amazing. I guess, toward the end he dropped off some, but I guess that's what people think of. I don't know, but I do think he's a Hall of Famer. I think Matt Ryan was probably, I think he's a little underrated. I really do. There were some years there. He finally got Julio Jones. He finally got a good receiver, and he was just incredible. So I think he's better than you probably think, and than a lot of people do.
Okay. And you're the aficionado, so we'll go with you. I got 2 more people here. Ben Roethlisberger. Maybe it's just because I'm a Bengals fan and detest the Steelers, but I don't know. Ben Roethlisberger was not a big throw it down the field guy. He was not a I don't put him in the same breath as Breeze and Brady and Rodgers and Rivers. Does that mean he's not a Hall of Famer if I don't put him in the same breath as all those guys?
He's in that breath. He is very good. Yes. They ran the ball a lot, so his stats don't look as good as they probably should. But here's what I'll have to say about Roethlisberger. Since he left, it's been bad. it's been really bad. And no, I think Roethlisberger was very good. I get what you're saying. He's not Peyton. He's not Brady. He's not Rodgers, Breeze, not that level. But I think he's in that category with Rivers and Eli. I do. I think he was very, very good. So Matt, I think he's in that group, and I would vote for him for the Hall of Fame.
Interesting. I think the Steelers themselves kind of screwed over Roethlisberger because, as we have talked about many times on this show, they're good. They're slightly above average, but that team never seems to be great. I mean, I know they went to a Super Bowl and they won one, but kind of beyond that.
I think he won one and lost one. I think he went to 2.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he went to 2. So, all right. Last one for me, Russell Wilson. I don't know. He's run for his life, Russell Wilson. I mean, he's done it. I think he'll be the first guy who did it with his legs and his arm. And I wonder if that's going to at least make people wait a few rounds before they put him in, because he wasn't a true passer like some of these other guys we've mentioned in this list.
So I would vote for the other 8 for sure. Not Andy Dalton, obviously. This one, here's the thing, Russell Wilson. He was on his way to a Hall of Fame career. If you look at his first 8 years, you're like, oh, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And then he kind of fell off. That's the biggest issue with him. But he was really good when the Seahawks were going to Super Bowls. He was amazing. He just did not. Maybe it's his height, some athleticism, arm strength. I don't know what happened, but he just kind of fell off a cliff. That's his biggest issue. But if you just take the first 8 years, if you just take the first before he turned 31, yeah, he should be. But those other quarterbacks on the list, besides Andy Dalton, they still were good into their mid-30s. So that's the biggest issue with him.
Okay, it'll be interesting. I think later on I want to have the discussion with you. Not today, obviously, but I think maybe something we should temper for later would be, what do you expect from a Hall of Fame quarterback? I think there's some expectations that we can put on these guys, and maybe some of them won't make it because of those expectations. So we've talked about a lot of things that have happened, a lot of quarterbacks who did things way back when. Let's talk about something that's brand new. And let me give you a picture of what I know off air you called the ugliest uniform you've ever seen. But let's take a look at it real quick.
I absolutely hate this.
These are the Buffalo Bills new. They're calling them nickel uniforms. So do you know what the heck a nickel uniform is, Cheez? Because I couldn't figure it out.
Well, no. And the Lions have some ugly similar uniforms, but not as bad as this, but still ugly, but not nearly as bad as this. So it's almost like kind of looks like them, but not. I don't know what this is. I don't know what the helmet is.
Right.
Where's the Bison Buffalo? Why are they gray? They've never been gray. I personally like the Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas uniforms the best, not the O.J. Simpson or the new ones like the O.J. Simpson. Okay, it's just the person I think of when I think old school Bills. But I like the 90s Bills uniforms better. I don't know what this is. I don't. Where is the gray? What is this? What's going on with the helmet? I think it's just. I think this is the worst and most ugliest uniform I've ever seen in my life, and it's worse than the Creamsicle Buccaneers.
Hey! I like the Creamsicle Buccaneers. Lay off my Creamsicle Buccaneers.
Terrible. This is worse.
I love that uniform.
I just don't know. Someone needs to be fired. Whoever designed this and signed off on all of it needs to be fired. This is a disaster.
Yeah, I don't know what the helmet is. I mean, I don't know what that symbol is. And you're right. There's no buffalo anywhere. There's no bee. There's no, when the Bengals came out with their stuff and I wasn't real happy about it, at least it had a bee and at least there were some stripes on it. And I can go, well, okay, I get it. That's a Bengal tiger and it's a bee for the Bengals. Okay. But this, I don't get this at all. There's nothing on this uniform that differentiates it from something that a high school, that they would wear on Friday nights, right?
It looks like the high school team that's 1-9 that you play at the end of the year and you're happy you on your schedule. They're 1-9 and they didn't have any money to hire anyone to design. They took whatever uniform that they could. Like, let's just throw it together. You're right. They look like a crappy high school uniform. Yeah. It is absolutely awful, and I'm not the only one. It's getting trashed online.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that gets trashed online, but I think this is deservedly so.
Yes.
All right, let's do one more football topic, and then we're going to jump in, and we're going to basically just coat everybody in baseball for the rest of the podcast. I want to go back to the Arizona Cardinals for a moment. We talked about this kind of you and I off air a few days ago through some text messages when I saw this. And I think this is a very, very interesting topic that I can't wait to get your response off of. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson will compete for wide receiver 1 role this season at training camp. We all know that's about to happen, and it is happening right now. First of all, Cheez, who do you think will win this battle between the two of them for wide receiver number 1?
I think Trey McBride's going to win it.
Okay. And that's kind of what the discussion we're going to get into here, but yes.
So here's the point. When Marvin Harrison Jr. was injured and out of the lineup, Michael Wilson thrived. He thrived with Jacoby Brissett. It worked. Yes. So to answer your question, Wilson.
Those two did seem to have chemistry, right?
It worked. He had an amazing year. And I just, at this point, I can't count on Marvin Harrison Jr. I can't count on him. I can't stick him out there as wide receiver 1. There were times where it looked like he wasn't, I don't even know if he was running the route. It looked like he was disinterested at times. Maybe he and Colin Murray just didn't get along. I don't know. you can't count on him. So I'm going to say Michael Wilson because he had a really good year, and almost no one, except if you're like a fantasy football like channel, no one else is really talking about how good a year he had. But fantasy football, channels are talking a lot about him.
Yeah, absolutely. We're hoping to have a fantasy football podcast coming soon, by the way. So stay tuned. Stay tuned right here to All Gloves Off Sports Media, and we hope to have that announcement soon. So, Cheez, because of Trey McBride, whoever loses the battle, so in this case, you're saying Marvin Harrison Jr. will lose it, and I'm inclined to agree with you.
I don't think he'll win it. I don't think he'll lose it. I just don't think he'll win it because you can't count on him. So why give him that?
Well, but because of Trey McBride, whoever loses that battle between Wilson and Harrison Jr. may actually end up as the third receiving option, right? I mean, that's the way this is going to work out, yes?
Fourth, Jeremiah Love likely will be in the top 3.
Ooh. Wow, you're going to put him in there as well. Okay.
Probably fourth in targets, and I think it's going to be MHJ.
That's interesting. Remember, this is what she said right here on the Lights Out Sports podcast. It could very well come true.
Keep in mind, they're going to be behind a lot with their schedule.
Yes.
They also are playing 3 of the best 5 teams in the NFC are in their division. That's 6 games where they might be double-digit favorites to lose. So they're going to be behind a lot, and they're going to dump it off to the running back a lot. So Jeremiah Love's going to get a lot of targets.
So you're saying pick Jeremiah Love up in all of your sports fantasy stuff?
If you're in a PPR league, yes. If not, don't.
Okay.
If you're in a PPR league, definitely he's worth drafting for sure.
All right. So because of all of this, because you've got 2 guys at receiver and you've got a great quarterback, or excuse me, a great tight end, a backup
really good
maybe at best.
An elite tight end, yes.
Yes. Could this actually cost the loser of this battle, either Harrison or Wilson, money now and in the future?
I don't know what's going on with Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know. He's only been in the league, 2 years?
Yes, 2 years.
It could cost Wilson money. It could cost Wilson big time money. He's a free agent end of the year. So it could cost Wilson money. Marvin Harrison Jr. still has time to recover, but it could definitely cost Wilson money.
Okay. Last thing with this, and then we'll jump into all kinds of baseball stuff here. Could this lead to an A.J. Brown type problem, especially as the frustration goes as they continue to go on with the losing season? Everybody just gets mad about everything, and then it just all snowballs, Cheez.
Oh, absolutely. Someone, if it's going bad, someone's probably not going to be happy. So I do think this could, especially Marvin Harrison Jr., this could be an A.J. Brown situation for sure.
Okay. So we got a few things to get to. We're going to talk about the MLB trade deadline for the rest of the show. And we're going to start with a graphic here. Let me get it pulled up here really quickly because this is not the one that I thought we were going to go with at this particular point in the show, but I can get it pretty fast. It's not a big deal. This. Who won? Let me take this banner off the top here. Who won this trade, looking back at it? Remember, this was the infamous Juan Soto trade. So the Padres got Juan Soto and Josh Bell. And the Washington Nationals got James Woods, C.J. Abrams. I always want to say Woods, but it's not. It's James Wood. C.J. Abrams. They got Mackenzie Gore. They got Luke Voigt. And Robert Hassel III. Cheez, in the long run, who won this trade?
This is complicated because the Padres would flip him to the Yankees for like Michael King, Johnny Brito, other prospects. They didn't get nearly for him what they gave up, though. Like they gave up way more than they got back for the Yankees. But they did get something back for him, so it's tricky. But I don't know how anyone can argue that the Nationals did not win this trade just because of the first 2 people on the list. Mackenzie Gore has been traded since. Robert Hassel has been a disappointment. I have no idea who Luke Voigt is. I have no clue. But James Wood, not the actor from Rhode Island, James Wood and C.J. Abrams are 2 of the best hitters in baseball. I mean, they're incredible. 2 of the best hitters in the National League. They're both all-stars. They're awesome. So this year, this trade's looking terrible for the Padres. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you. I mean, the first two guys, of course, again, James Wood, C.J. Abrams, they are, yes, you said it correctly, both all-stars. I could have put the graphic up, and we'll look at it later on, probably next week, and we revisit this. The top 10 home run hitters, only one team has two players in the top 10, and it's the Washington Nationals, and it's those two guys on the screen right there, James Wood and C.J. Abrams. The Washington Nationals are the most prolific offense in the National League. They have scored more runs, and it's honestly not even close. I believe your Atlanta Braves are second. But the Washington Nationals have blown pretty much everybody else out of the water. Mackenzie Gore, a great pitcher, got traded to the Texas Rangers, of course, the AL West leading at Texas Rangers, and Mackenzie Gore is a pretty big part of that. Luke Voigt, who you said you had no idea who he was, first baseman, great big guy, always had the chest all stuck out there. Reminds me of, I wish I could think of his name, but played first base for the Yankees too, was married to, oh man, really beautiful woman that did a lot of modeling stuff for MLB.
I'm talking about no. I was like Marilyn Monroe, Joe DiMaggio.
No. I'm not going back that far. I know I'm old, but I'm not that old.
Married to someone who worked for ESPN and modeled?
No, Alyssa Milano. That's who he was married to.
Oh, she's insufferable.
Well, I'm glad I brought that name up so you can tell us how you feel about her.
I liked her in Who's the Boss when I was a kid, but yeah.
Yes. Somebody I'm sure somebody listening to
I have no idea who that is. I don't follow who marries who, but that's good because if you guys want to know what celebrities married to who, Mike is your guy. Let us know in the comments. He will tell you what celebrities. Right. I didn't know a Yankees first baseman. I know Dave Justice married to Halle Berry because I was a Braves fan growing up.
I'll try to look it up here in a second. Okay. I'm sure somebody in the comments will let us know who it is. I can't remember his name. He does a podcast now with a couple other guys, and yeah. Anyway,
I can't think who that is. Okay.
Yeah. I'll get it in a minute. And then, as with most of these trades, right? Josh Bell's still in the league. Not really not really a big star, not a big superstar.
He's been decent this year. He's
been decent this year, not great. Yeah. And then these trades always seem to have somebody like Robert Hassel III, the guy who was the next big thing, right? And then just absolutely did nothing.
Top 50 prospect at the time.
Yes.
I remember when he was drafted because he was rumored. I can't remember if it was the Braves or Cubs, my two teams. He was rumored to go to them late first round, and he went early second round to the Padres. So, yeah, he was a big-time bat that was hyped big time for the draft, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, so I have to agree with you. Sorry, I'm trying to look up.
If they had gotten just James Wood in this list, I would probably say a push. But they got C.J. Abrams too. There's a reason why the Nationals are still in it, and it's those two dudes. They've been amazing this year. Padres, they gave up way too much probably for Mason Miller too. Leo DeVries is with the Athletics. I think he's probably the best prospect in baseball. Wait till next year when he's called up by the Athletics. He's an absolute stud. So I don't know why the Padres they get all these great prospects and just trade them all. I don't get it.
Yeah, and they're in the same boat right now. Now they're trying to decide. So do we trade our huge closer that can fetch us, 4 or 5 more prospects, or what are we doing there? So nobody wheels and deals like Preller does with the Padres.
They have so many good prospects that end up playing for other teams. I'm glad I'm not a Padres fan. It would frustrate me, and they've been very disappointing this season.
Yeah, it's making me crazy. I'm trying to figure out. I might have the wrong person.
Might have the wrong person.
Yeah, Alyssa Milano might not be the.
Oh, Alyssa Milano. Okay, I don't know.
I can't.
Okay, so we'll repeat. It was the Yankees first base. It was the Yankees hitter.
Yeah.
When was the error again?
Hang on.
Couldn't be Mark Teixeira. No, he was.
No. Daggone it. big guy there. God.
Big guy. Oh, Giambi?
No.
No. Big guy.
Yeah,
Who was on the Yankees, guys? Who was on the Yankees back then? Big guy. Before Teixeira, before Giambi. Who was the big Yankees guy? It's okay. I mean, it's going to bother Mike, so please.
It is. It's going to make me absolutely crazy until I think of his name. Anyway, okay, I got to get back to this. So we got to keep going with our topics here. But I'll try to research it as I'm going through different things here. So
Nick Swisher.
Nick Swisher, that's it.
Yes.
That's
Nick Swisher. I just Googled Yankees player married to an actress, and it popped up. It wasn't Alyssa Milano. It was some actress I don't know. Redhead.
Okay.
Nick Swisher.
Nick Swisher, yes.
Another player that was on the A's, and they just traded him because they don't pay anybody. Yeah.
Very true. All right, so now there might be, ladies and gentlemen, a hidden reason why this trade deadline is not going to be as hot and heavy as some of the other trade deadlines have been. Cheese knows I really and honestly don't want to talk about this, but I think we have to in this point because it is being brought up in certain circles. I'm going to give you a tweet here from James Passon, and we'll talk about this here. So this person, Paul, writes, how do you think the potential for lockout affects the dealing? Will it be way down given the uncertainty of next season? And Jeff Passon answers with, great question. It's absolutely affecting some teams' approaches. There are owners that believe there won't be a single game next season, so they're telling their GMs to price that into their trade deliberations. Will it have a significant effect? I won't go that far, but does that possibility exist? Absolutely. Cheese, I know you've got some stuff to say about this. I'll give you the floor. Talk to me. What do you think about the possibility that this trade deadline, is being affected because there might not be a season next year?
So a lot of people are going to talk about the buyers. Like, okay, we're good. We have a good record. We're probably going to make the postseason. So let's just go for it. Especially if you're a veteran team, especially if you have a lot of players 28 or older.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's just go for it, right? But I think what a lot of people need to think about is the sellers. If you are a team that's not very good, probably not going to be good next year, might not be a season anyway, you're not going to be good. Do it. Just sell anybody, any of your veterans, anyone on that's going to be a free agent or even has one more year left on the deal. Do it, because get young guys, because if you trade for 20, 21-year-olds and there's no season next year and we have to wait a whole other year, they're still going to be young, right? So I think the seller, if I'm a seller, it sucks. You want to be good. Every team wants to win in spring training. Everyone says, I want to win. But I think this is such an opportunity for some teams, if they're bad, to just, okay, let's just take a step back. We have, especially if you have a lot of 28, 29-year-old hitters or pitchers. Well, if there's no season, they're going to be 30, maybe 30 years old another year if they miss a year. So let's trade all those guys and let's get younger. If I trade for a 19-year-old guy who was an international free agent 2 years before signing, I trade for that guy and he misses a year, he'll be 21. So what? He's still 21. So I think the sellers need to embrace this and realize I have an opportunity and sell off a bunch of veterans.
So you got somebody that's a little upset with you, Cheese.
That's common. He wants Micah Parsons injured. He's a Cowboys fan. He did invite me. He did invite me to come to the game, but unfortunately I won't be able to make it for two reasons. But one is we have to do the special that day, which is a trade deadline. That's when he invited me. So I can't for that reason also, but then how am I supposed to work the next day?
Right. Because you'll be consuming some beverages, I'm sure. If you go to to a Major League Baseball game. So,
I'm not a big beer guy. I'm more of a wine guy, so I don't really drink a lot at the games. But
well, I'm sure they have wine at the games as well, sir. If you look hard enough, I'm sure you can find it.
Not the wine I would drink. No, man.
Oh, okay. So what you're trying to tell us is you're a wine snob.
No. John invited me. He's lives in somewhere in the Dallas area, somewhere in there, somewhere. He's a big Cowboy fan, and he wants Micah Parsons hurt. He wants Micah Parsons to fail because they traded.
Well, it looks like he's going to miss the first probably 6 weeks of the season. It looks like.
Probably at least four to. I think it's 4 to 8. It could be as much as 8. We'll see, but it's at least 4.
Okay. All right. So I know what you're saying, and I'm not saying that I disagree with everything you just brought up. The caveat that I want to add to everything here is I think these guys that are on expiring contracts are going to be the guys that are going to move, because you don't have to worry about paying the guy next year if we don't have a season. If you just get the guy in the expiring contract, right, and then he's done at the end of the year, well, okay, we got a guy in an expiring contract and he's done. I don't have to fit a bill for a player that's not doing anything and a team that's not playing. So I think you're going to see those guys go up in value. Go ahead, Cheez.
That's a great point. I didn't think of that. That's a really good point. But do you think that now teams know this and that rentals will get – they'll ask for more than rentals? Like rentals will get more than ever. More value.
That's the thing that I'm really curious to see how it all kind of unfolds. I think we haven't had a lot of movement yet. I know we've had one move, the Curtis Mead move, and I don't know if you saw this, by the way, but Curtis Mead today, his first game for the Red Sox gets hit in the hand. He's out 4 to 6 weeks.
The Red Sox have had that kind of luck the last few years. They have bad. The Chris Sale trade is a disaster for them. They've had such bad luck. Chris Sale's never healthy. Oh, they trade him the Braves for some, DH type prospect, and he's not very good. And all of a sudden, Chris Sale's healthy again. Yeah, they've had that kind of luck.
Yeah, I like how you're smiling so big because you're the Atlanta Brave guy, and Chris Sale's over there with the Braves. So
he's amazing.
And he is one of the reasons why they're where they are. I mean, Chris Sale has been great this season, and you can't deny that. But I think those expiring contracts. So here's a couple of them, right? Derek, now Tarek Skubal. Will the Tigers ask for even more? Because I think it's pretty inevitable by this point that they are probably going to try to trade him. So now what are they going to get?
The only thing with that is you have to get a really good offer. You have to tell your fans. I know they're still technically close enough where they have a shot. You have to get a ton for him because, one, if you don't trade him, you could at least get a compensatory draft pick back, some kind of draft pick back. But two, you're trading one of the best pitchers in baseball and you're giving up. So you have to get the fans excited. They're 2.5 out. No, 3.5 out of the wild card. But they have to 7 teams. They have to pass 7 teams. But because the American League's crazy.
Yes.
But so you have to get some kind of prospect, at least one of that will excite fans. You have to get some top 30, 40 prospect in that trade. What do you think? Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, you have to get either a really big time prospect that's close, or you have to get 2 or 3 players that are already major league ready. And you can plug right into your lineup, and everybody says, oh, well, that's the guy we got for Skubal, and oh, that's the guy we got for Skubal, and all of that. So I'm looking at the MLB scores right at the moment. The Arizona Diamondback Pittsburgh Pirate game has gone into extra innings. And I know our buddy is probably watching and taking notes on that game, so he'll be with us here shortly. Arizona just took the lead in the middle of the 10th, so that might be why he's not here with us right at the moment. But just to give you some updates on some other scores, Kansas City is beating Minnesota 2-1 in the bottom of the 9th. Also in the 9th, but in the top, the Yankees over the Chicago White Sox 3-0. Your Chicago Cubs are beating the St. Louis Cardinals 8-1 in the top of the 8th. Yep. Washington is avenging their loss yesterday to Toronto. They are leading 8-3. Houston's up 1-0 over the Anaheim Angels. Boston and the Athletics are scoreless in the second, as well as are Colorado and San Diego. So just a little bit of an update on some of the games that are going on right the moment. As we continue to be with you, this is our pre-trade deadline special. We'll be doing a trade deadline special on Monday. We're going to go noon, 1, something like that, come on the air. That would be Arizona time. What is that considered, Cheez? You know all these time zones. I mess it up all the time.
The Arizona is in Pacific time this time of year.
Okay, Pacific.
Once again, Arizona has it right. They don't change. It's so stupid to change. But Arizona's on Pacific time right now. So 3 hours behind Eastern. And it's 9-1 Cubs.
9-1 Cubs. All right. And I know the Reds lost earlier today. They played a doubleheader. They lost to the Indians. I don't know if they've started the second game yet.
Yes, but they won game 2-0.
Oh, okay. They've already won. Excellent.
They did. Yes, they won 2-0. Sal Stewart had a big game 1.
He did. Ellie De La Cruz scored from first on a single to center field by Sal Stewart. I don't know if you get a chance to see it, you can go over to our X account.
It's really hard to see.
It's really hard. I haven't figured out how to play video on this thing yet, but it's you can go over to our X page at All Gloves Off SM because I have to shorten it down, but it's there. You can see it. Ellie De La Cruz in the first game scored from first base on a single to center field. It's a pretty amazing play, and they even give you the seconds and everything. It's pretty neat.
Real quick about game 2, Brady Singer was originally supposed to start. They decided to move him back to Wednesday and do a bullpen day. Was the right move. The bullpen, 5 pitchers, threw a shutout. So, I guess the Reds finally their bullpen is good. I guess we can say that now.
Yeah, they were not healthy there for a while. It's why they were losing so much. It's one of the reasons why they were winning in the beginning because they started out healthy. Now they're back to healthy again. They're an interesting team. I don't want to get into this too much here, but the Reds are an interesting team. I said last week that I thought they would buy and sell, and I still think that. But they also lost one of their key trade pieces because Spencer Steer is now hurt. And he's on the IL. He'll be there for 4 to 6 weeks. And
that hurts because a lot of teams were interested in trading for him. So if they wanted to move him, that hurts. But yeah, great bullpen day for the Reds. So they did win a game 2.
So what do you think, Cheez? Does that mean that the Reds were holding Brady Singer back on purpose because they're into some really big trade discussions, maybe, and they're going to get rid of him before tomorrow night's game?
I thought about that. When I saw that, I thought maybe they're close to making a deal for him. I haven't heard anything. I just refreshed. I keep checking. I love doing breaking news.
I know you do.
But it might just be, let's just go and give him an extra day, because we might move him. So let's just give him extra, make sure he's rested, make sure everything's good for his next start. And he's been really, really good at home this year, and he'll pitch at home. So,
okay. Yeah. So we've got one more thing to look at here, Cheez, and then I already see George. He is off camera here. I can see him. He can hear me, I'm sure. Yeah, he can hear me. He's shaking his head at me, so I know he hears me. So we'll have George Lund here from Locked On Diamondbacks in just a moment. We'll get to all kinds of Diamondback news. We'll let him talk to us about the game today and what it means and everything else. But first, Cheez, I don't know if you want me to do it first or if you want to do it first. Give me 3 teams that you think will be the most active on this trade deadline between now and our show stops when we're doing this trade deadline special on Monday. You want to go first? You want me to go first? You want to kind of go back and forth? How you want to do it?
Yeah, well, back and forth. I can go first. I think the Yankees are going to go for it. I think they're only 2 games out of Tampa, and they want to win the division. They want to be the best, have the best record. I think the Yankees, they have a good team. Maybe not. They're still missing a few pieces. So they have a pretty decent farm system. They have some pieces. So I think they're going to be. It's the Yankees. They're going to be, and also not have a season next year. I think the Yankees. When's the last time that they were like in the World Series? It's been a while, right? So I think they're going to be super aggressive going for it this year. Which one of your teams?
Okay, so my first team, I'll do the same division because I think Tampa Bay is going to be really aggressive. They have new ownership. They've got a
Okay.
little bit more money to spend, or at least more than what Tampa Bay usually has to spend. They're not going to spend Yankee money or anything, but they've got some more money that they can spend. They're going to look at that the fact that Toronto is down. And honestly, if you kind of look at it, the Yankees are down because they've got no Judge. They've got no Cody Bellinger. So they're either going to have to be like what you're saying, super aggressive and make some moves, or they're going to be second or third in that division. And Toronto, I think, may have a sell-off before it's all said and done. So then Tampa Bay says, okay, if not this year, then when? And I think Tampa Bay will be really active as well. Who's your second team, Cheese?
Crazy, because Toronto was play for play with the Dodgers in the World Series last year. Probably should have won it. They were like as good. It was like the most even World Series you ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy their drop off. It's just they're bad. I don't know what happened to their bats. Atlanta Braves. My Atlanta Braves. I think they got to be aggressive. They're 18 games over 500,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a lot of flaws. The bullpen is kind of collapsing. Suarez is hurt. Hopefully he'll come back soon. I have no idea. He's been tremendous this year, but they have got to get a starter, and they need probably one or two bullpen pitchers because Tyler Kinley and Dylan Lee have been awful. Glacius has not been as good as well. So they need to be aggressive with pitching and maybe a right-handed left fielder. So I expect the Braves to and it's the best farm system they probably had in like 4 years. Their farm system is better than it's been in quite a while.
All right, so I'm going to give you my last two teams. Cheese has got one more team. We're going to do lights out trivia here in just a moment, brought to you by Deutsch Snacking Company. We'll get to that, and then we'll bring on our special guest from the Locked On Diamondbacks. We'll bring out George here in just a moment. My second team, the Chicago White Sox. They still lead the division, Cheese. Fans are positively reacting to them as a fun, go-get-'em team, and as you've already seen, there seems to be more AL teams that are falling out of the race day by day. So I think the White Sox are primed to strike, and I think they will. Who's your final team, Cheese? Or you want to comment on the White Sox?
No, I can see the White Sox doing it. We'll talk more about the White Sox on Monday. So I'm going to go with a team that needs to absolutely sell. The Kansas City Royals. Anyone that's like a free agent or even going to be a free agent after next year, just sell. It's been a disaster. They've had a ton of pitching injuries, but at the same time, it's still just not a very good team. And they do have some pieces. They have some decent bullpen pitchers. They got a couple good, decent starters. You can get some for them. So Royals just they need to do a retool, a 2 or 3 year retool.
Okay. My last team is going to be really similar to yours because for me, this is another team that just needs to sell and start over. I think they'll sell off in an effort to kind of reset the club. They fired their GM. They've got the old Cardinals GM in there now, and they have told him that he's going to be there for a little bit. It's the Los Angeles Angels. I think you're going to see him get rid of Detmers and Soriano pitchers, Yates as a closer, Neto, Adele in the outfield, Soler in the outfield, and maybe, I'm crossing my fingers, maybe even Mike Trout.
New guy running it. So Moreno is no longer, or what's his name? Was it?
Mozolak is now running it.
I know. Was it Moreno? Was that the guy running before? But
well, Artie Moreno was their owner.
Okay, is their owner. What was that GM running before? It was terrible. Like he wouldn't
Zanuck
even trade
or something
Reynolds
like that.
when
I
the
can't remember his name.
Yeah, like we'll see if he's smart enough, but they're bad. They're not good at anything. They're one of the worst teams in baseball. Sell, like just like you said, sell, and sell more.
Yeah, sell, and sell some more.
Got to.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we got Deutsch Company, the Deutsch Snacking Company. You can get with us. We're putting some things together for them, but I do want to say that they brought us lights out trivia for today. Here we go. Here it is, Cheese. Let's see what you can do with it. We said earlier in the show, Matthew Stafford was number 6 in total career passing yards. He, Cheese, is one of 3 active quarterbacks in the top 20. Who, Cheese, are the other two. So you've got Matthew Stafford and two other quarterbacks that are active in the top 20. One of them is at number 19, and one of them is at number 14. I'm kind of giving you a little bit to kind of put your thinking cap on and think about it.
Well, Aaron Rodgers, right?
Well, okay. You know what? I forgot that Aaron Rodgers is still active. I was thinking the old man's retired, but yeah, of course he's in there.
So there's two more besides Rodgers?
Yes, there's two more besides Rodgers.
Man. Okay.
So just so you know, we get everything put together. Rodgers is number 5. He's got 66,274. He's actually right above Matthew Stafford, who's number 6 at 64,516. So less than 2,000 yards between the two of them. It'd be interesting to see how much closer Stafford can get to Rodgers, because I think he'll have a better year than Rodgers this year. But there are two other active quarterbacks in the league right now that are on this list in the top 20 passing yardage.
Here's the problem. Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Holmes, Allen, they're all like 29, 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
There's two other active quarterbacks. That Flacco.
Flacco is on the list. Very good.
Kirk Cousins.
Very good, John. Wait, did you just get it? Who's the other one?
Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins is there.
It is Kirk Cousins. I almost didn't say it because I thought it was stupid.
No.
Flacco, that was a good one.
Kirk Cousins is number 19. He's got 44,700 even. And believe it or not, Joe Flacco is 14th out of 20. Joe Flacco has 48,176 yards. So there you go. You got them all. And we are ready. Let's see here. Let me do a couple things. Let me change the background because I don't think the baseball spinning in the middle of us is going to work when we put 3 people up here in just a second. So let's go back to this background with the stadium in back of us here. I know George is ready to come on. Let's make it to where we have the 3, and then let's add Mr. Lund to this side. There he is. George, how you doing, buddy? Mike Ballantyne, Cheez, right here with you on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. Thank you for being on.
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm doing great. Enjoying a Diamondbacks stressful game right now. It's 7-7. They're blowing it like they have recently, but I'm doing great all together myself.
7-6.
Yeah.
All right. So before we start talking about players and trade deadlines and everything else, let's talk the tiebreakers. One of the things that it's really big for the Diamondbacks to win this game, because I think it's something that's not considered by the average fan, but it should be given more consideration, George. The two teams in front of them at the number 1 and number 2 wild card spots are the Cubs. They're plus 4.5, and the Phillies are plus 2. The Cubs currently own a 3-0 advantage with 3 games left to be played at Chase Field, August 24th, 25th, and 26th. So the Diamondbacks, almost all of these games are going to be played at home against these teams, and they're currently really good at home as well, George, 31-22. What do you think about them and the Cubs?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think the National League wild card race this year has been stretched along a lot of teams this year. There's a lot of teams that are still in contention. I think a lot of people thought that the Padres would be out of it by this point. The Cubs are a really good team, though. I think there's a lot to like about the Cubs. The Diamondbacks are in a weird situation where they're waiting for all these injuries to return, but these guys keep having setbacks. You don't really know what to make of them right now, although they're really competing their butt offs to stay in the race. But I like the Cubs a lot. They'll add at the deadline and be a lot better team than they already are right now. They have a lot of star power, a lot of depth throughout that team, a lot of guys who have showed up in a big way for them this season. Definitely a lot to like about the Cubs.
Wow, he's giving your Cubs a lot of praise there, Cheez. I hope your headphones stay on your head there as we continue this segment. But what do you think about the dynamic between the Cubs and the Diamondbacks, Cheez?
Well, I think every game is important down the stretch. Every single game is important. But Cubs have been really good on the road since like the early June. They've been scoring a lot of runs on the road. The lineup is the big thing. Nico Horner, Alex Bregman have been much better lately. And if those guys start hitting, the lineup's just going to be ridiculous. And we'll see. I mean, if the Cubs need to make some pitching moves at the deadline, obviously. And with the Diamondbacks, Merrill Kelly, he's good again. So, so that's big for them. Yeah, I think it'll be a big series.
All right, so the Diamondbacks currently hold a 2-1 advantage over the Phillies with, again, 3 more games to play at Chase Field, August 31st through September the 2nd. So basically, George, the Diamondbacks have the ability to gain 3 games on both the Cubs and the Phillies as they look at all this breakout stuff. George, do you think they'll actually gain 3 games on each club? What's your prediction on what's going to happen with the Diamondbacks and the tiebreakers on both the Cubs and the Phillies, the 2 teams that are ahead of them?
Yeah, I think you never know with these series. It's baseball's a game of matchups. You never really know what's going to happen in a lot of these series. The Diamondbacks had been really hot before the All-Star break, right after the All-Star break, but now they might be on the verge of losing 4 straight games. So you never really know. Kind of depends. Obviously, like you mentioned right there, the Cubs have a lot of star power, but a lot of guys who have underperformed up until this point. So sort of a team that needs to get it going, but a lot of things have gone wrong for them. And the fact they're still in that second NL wildcard spot says a lot about their team. The Diamondbacks just have to play their best baseball. They've been so up and down recently. Sometimes you're like, man, they're going to take this wildcard spot. And it's like, well, maybe should they be sellers? So I like their chances against the Cubs. I think right now with their rotation, it kind of depends who's pitching. They have two rookie pitchers in their rotation right now. Merrill Kelly and Brandon Pfaadt have had the turnarounds of their lives. So I guess you trust those guys once again. But I think it sort of depends about who the Cubs get in the Diamondbacks rotation, because they got crushed against the Nationals last series, but that's because they had two rookie starters go in consecutive days. So it sort of depends on the health of this rotation and then who the Cubs will be facing.
And that Nationals lineup is ridiculous.
Yeah, really good.
It is true.
Really good.
They saw it firsthand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking about the Nationals, right? The Nationals, as you just said, George, they won the series 4-2. The Diamondbacks on the tiebreaker against the Cardinals. Now versus the Padres, it's tied 3-3 with a big 4-game series at Chase Field, the 3rd through the 6th of August. And the final 3 games of the season are Diamondbacks versus Padres. The Marlins currently own the tiebreaker 3-0, but they play each other on September 14th through the 16th at Chase Field. And the way the Marlins are playing, they better beat them. The Padres currently hold the season series against them 2-1. Just like Pittsburgh tonight, it's going to be big. So, George and Cheez, I know I'm having you hang out for a minute, but I'll get to you in just a second. George, how do you feel about the Diamondbacks' chances against the opponents that are underneath of them right now in this wild card chase?
Yeah, you mentioned the Marlins. The Diamondbacks were in a lot different place than they are now when they played that series against the Marlins at the beginning of the June. It's probably the low point of their season, and a little later in the month, they started to turn it around. That was after all the Ketel Marte news, after he sat out a game against the Dodgers. So there was a lot of animosity around the team at that point in time. And like you mentioned, the Marlins were losers of, I believe, 12 straight. The Diamondbacks are surging. So it's 2 teams that are in a lot different spots than they were when they last played. So I do like the Diamondbacks' chances a lot against the Marlins. The Padres are sort of a weird team because it feels on paper they should have been sellers, but they're still in the NL wildcard race somehow. I thought the Diamondbacks underperformed when they played them at San Diego their last time out. They swept the Dodgers in the next series that they played. So sort of a weird matchup, but definitely like their chances anytime they go against the Padres. The Padres just altogether, rotation, lineup, all the way through have struggled a lot this season. I know they're playing better baseball as of late. Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado, but definitely like the Diamondbacks' chances. As they continue on to the season, the Diamondbacks get healthier and healthier. I like their chances against each of these teams.
So, Cheez, we've talked about the teams in front of the Diamondbacks. We've talked about the teams below the Diamondbacks in the race. Cheez, if you are the Diamondbacks front office, would this strengthen your opinion to buy? Would this strengthen your opinion to sell? Or would it not really affect your decision whatsoever, buddy?
James McCann's up. We're on 3rd, 1 out. All I do is score and win. Bottom of the 11th.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. I got it on. I got 2 TVs, so I got it on.
Yeah.
I buy. Oh, just go for it. Like, there might not be a season next year.
Yeah.
They have a good veteran team. Just go for it. Let's be honest. They've underachieved this year. They're better than their record. They've lost some games they shouldn't have. Of course, I think didn't the Cardinals give them a game where they were down 7-0?
Yeah, 7-0. It was a franchise best 7 or tied a franchise best 7-run comeback for the Diamondbacks.
but Diamondbacks, they're just a lot of stuff that was going wrong is going better. So I would buy if I was the Diamondbacks, because there's 5 teams that are probably going to make postseason. That's 6 spots for the taking, and they're right there. So yeah, I would, and the Diamondbacks win.
Oh, do they?
Walk off. McCann just walked it off with a single.
Well, they're at PNC, so they go to the bottom half. Yeah.
Well, they're ahead.
Yeah.
Well, they were ahead
good.
2 or 3 times.
Yeah, they're ahead 6-0 in this game. Oh my god!
But it's a single, so it's like, yeah.
McCann has 4 hits on the day. He's hitting .500 since he came back from the IL. Who would have thought that?
Wow. And their backup catchers doing it. And Gabriel Moreno, we'll talk about him here before it's all said and done. He is on fire as well. But you know what, George, before we get to our next topic, man, tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to our fans here at the Lights Out Sports Podcast.
Yeah, I just graduated from Arizona State University just a few months ago. I worked on the ASU's On3 affiliate for about 2 years, so covered baseball, football, basketball, and kind of a beat writer version. And I've never hosted a podcast full time, so this has been really fun getting the opportunity to cover the Diamondbacks in this way. Do a 30-minute podcast 5 days a week, which is what I've been doing. Hopefully some writing stuff coming soon that I'm working on. But yeah, I've been did sports journalism throughout college. So I've always been involved more and more and more. Love covering everything. Baseball's always been my thing ever since I was little. So in a way, a dream come true to, sit up and talk about baseball every day. It's such a cool thing to be able to do. Very fortunate that I have the opportunity to be able to do so. But yeah, recent college graduate, now doing the Diamondbacks.
Hey, man, you're doing a heck of a job, too. We really appreciate you coming on. Cheez was making fun of me earlier. I've got one of the many colors of Diamondback hats on here to represent everything going on. And here you come on, the Diamondbacks guy wearing the Arizona Coyotes hat. What's the deal of that, buddy?
Well, I have a few different hats, a few Arizona hats that I've collected throughout the time. I got to get more Diamondback stuff. I hadn't really had a ton of Diamondback stuff going in, but people love the Coyotes around here. People are big hockey fans in the desert, funny enough. So just thought it'd be cool, unique. People like the Coyotes, but I do have to get a few more Diamondbacks things going forward.
All right. So Perdomo is signed.
Real quick, first and third, 2 out.
Oh man.
Okay. All right. He's keeping us updated over here.
they better win this game. I think
Vargas
people are going to give up on the team otherwise.
Vargas got a single on Corbin Carroll hitting a fielder's choice, so it's first and third, 2 out.
I believe on the game before I checked it last, they are 3 for 26 with runners in scoring position tonight. Last night, I think they were 2 for 14. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how bad they've been with runners in scoring position.
Well, you're setting us up because we're going to talk about what they need. So that might be a part of our discussion here in just a few moments. But Perdomo is signed through 2029 with a team option for 2030. Corbin Carroll is signed through 2030 with a team option for 31. Ketel Marte is signed through 2030 with a team option for 2031. You got to remember Corbin Burns is signed through 2030. He does have an opt-out at the end of this season, but we won't talk about that. Gabriel Moreno has made roughly $5 million so far in his MLB career. So, George, I'm going to start with you and ask, what if, instead of making any trades, that they agreed with Clutch Sports, who represents Moreno, to like a 6-year, $100 million deal for him? Carroll got 7 and 111, and they come out and they say, hey, we trust in our core players and we want to win with this team. George, would you be okay with that?
Yeah, I believe that the organization and all of the management still believes in this core. Of course, they went to the World Series in 2023. A lot of people viewed it as sort of premature. It was a lot of young players on this team, a lot of young up-and-coming players. Moreno was a rookie at the time, or maybe a second-year player. Corbin Carroll was a second-year player, and they turned into stars in that playoff run. So people may think that, well, that's an old core, that's a few years ago, but they're still incredibly young. Ketel Marte is getting into his mid-30s, but Geraldo Perdomo, Corbin Carroll, and Gabriel Moreno are still very, very young and controllable, like you just mentioned. So I think they can build around this core. They have to make sure that they're putting the right pieces around them. They're a lot different team than they were last year when they had Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, where they had a lot of power. This year, they've had to sort of play more small ball than they're used to. But yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons to believe in this core and sort of keeping the main guys together. I think there is still a conversation to buy, but well, maybe you have to see how this series goes.
Okay, so Cheese, would you consider if the Diamondbacks don't actually make any moves and they just sign one of their actual core players, would you kind of consider that a cop out, or is that a good move for the Diamondbacks, Cheese?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of a cop out. You don't make any moves, but I always say this, and I said this I think a couple weeks ago. I would rather not make any moves than to make just one or two small ones that do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do something. Like when the Cubs went and got Andrew Kittredge and then Michael Soroka last year, it's like Cubs were like that. Fans were like, "That's it? Like
Yeah.
that's what you're doing? Like we're right there." And they lost in Game 5 to the Brewers. They were one game away from the NLCS. It's like, well, if they gone out and made a big move. So if they do nothing and just extend someone, it's still better than doing like one or two token things. But I think, I would want them to do more. And by the way, they did not score. Perdomo got out, so they're up 8-7, bottom of the 11th.
And even to add to that, management has sort of hinted that the Diamondbacks may or may not make moves at the deadline because of how many players they have coming back from injury. They practically have an entire bullpen, an entire rotation sitting on the injury list right now, on top of Jordan Lawler, Tommy Troy, some of their young up-and-coming prospects. On top of that, of course, Corbin Burns, Ryan Nelson, Michael Soroka coming back from injury. They have two of their best relievers, Justin Martinez,
Soroka's
AJ
always hurt.
Yeah, Soroka is always hurt. And I've made that point on my show a lot, that a lot of these players that they're talking about, well, we don't have to make a move. Look how many players are going to come back from injury. How much can you really rely on a lot of these guys to be healthy for the rest of the season or come back and be themselves? So management has sort of hinted they may go cheap, but we'll have to see. That's why the Diamondbacks performing and proving themselves is such a big thing for forcing management to go out and spend at the deadline.
Absolutely. We'll talk about all of those guys that are coming back off the IL here in just a moment. But, George, I want you to take a few seconds. I know you did the show that came out today was about the disappointing loss yesterday. But the show that came out a couple days ago was about Gabriel Moreno.
Yep.
Take a few seconds and promo that show so that our fans will go over to your channel, which is what, by the way?
Locked On Diamondbacks, talking Diamondbacks 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And yeah, that show the other day, I thought it was a great topic. Of course, the discourse around Gabriel Moreno and a potential extension. They've talked to management more and more. Arizona sports, some of the media around here has asked more questions to the general manager, coaches about a potential extension. The Diamondbacks have team control over Gabriel Moreno until 2028. So not necessarily that the clock is ticking, but you'd like to get him signed before free agency. I feel like if Gabriel Moreno were to go to free agency, the Diamondbacks would probably lose him. But for now, they can buy out those RB years. And Gabriel Moreno has really taken a step up this year. He's always been a decent to above average offensive player, but now he is maybe their best offensive player, while Corbin Carroll has struggled for the last 2 months. And he's always been fantastic defensively. He does everything, blocks, throws out runners, frames really well. So he just does everything for the Diamondbacks. And the big thing is he's only 26 years old. So of course, as many know, the knees for catchers, they don't get any younger. Once you get in the age 30s, a lot of guys switch over to first base. So to get him and pay him at his youth, they'll probably have to sign him for a pretty lengthy contract. That's kind of how baseball contracts work these days. But he's continues to take steps up every single year, and he's still really young. So there's a lot of reasons to believe that he's going to continue to get better. And he's been the second most valuable catcher in F4 this year. So a lot to like about Gabriel Moreno, but I really think he is due for an extension. And I believe the Diamondbacks would be smart to sign him before that price gets too high.
Right. All right. So, an update.
Who's Carrillo? He's got an unbelievable splitter. Jeez.
Yeah, they've had to work really hard with the bullpen recently. So
Carrillo,
rookie.
like he's split. So he got the first guy to ground out, and then he struck out the next guy. All he do is get the third guy, and they win. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your mic, but this guy's got a really good splitter, and he just got a strikeout on it.
Yeah.
Carrillo, I guess that's his name. Anyway,
Carrillo.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hey, let the Diamondback guy tell you what his name is, Chief.
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
Hopefully they can close this one down. It's been chaotic.
We'll need to get the last guy.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sure Cheez will give us the update in a moment, but we can't go any further, gentlemen, in this conversation without talking about another specific player on the Diamondbacks roster, and his name is Ketel Marte. Cheez, I'll start with you. Is Marte the best player on the Diamondbacks?
You know I'm a Corbin Carroll guy. You know
I know you are.
So I would say he has in the past, but I'm taking if I had to gun to the head just for some extra stuff too, not just on the field. I'll take Corbin Carroll.
Okay. George, what do you think? Is Marte the best player in the Diamondbacks right now?
Yeah, I believe it's Corbin Carroll too. I understand that he struggled in the last 2 months. There was a time pretty early on in July where he had about a 950 OPS. Since then, it's gone down to about 830. He's really struggled this month, but Corbin Carroll just does everything for the Diamondbacks. Even on days where he's not hitting, he's still making a ton of plays out in right field. He can steal a bag when you need to. He hits for power. He hits for average. He really does everything for the Diamondbacks, and he's continued to get better year after year. And I think as Marte gets older and as Corbin Carroll adds more experience to his resume, I think it's Corbin Carroll just because he does everything for the Diamondbacks. And when both players are firing on all cylinders, Corbin Carroll just does more for the Diamondbacks than Ketel Marte does. But that's not to downplay Ketel Marte. I mean, he struggled recently as well, but he's still fantastic. But I just think Corbin Carroll just does more for the Diamondbacks.
All right. So, Cheez, I'm going to go back to you for a moment. If Ketel Marte was traded to any of the other 31 teams, how many of those teams do you think would consider Ketel Marte a quote-unquote superstar?
Wow, I don't know. I don't know. It's super. I don't know define superstar, but
he's not a star. He's a superstar. He's in that elevation with, like James Wood. We were talking about James earlier. We were talking about C.J. Abrams earlier. He's in that stratosphere of those guys that are the above average player.
Yeah, Diamondbacks just won. Carrillo.
Nice. Close it out.
He looked amazing. He was tremendous. I don't know. I maybe half the league. Thing is, like, even if I don't see them trading him one, I don't see it happening. But even if they did, there's not a lot of teams that need a second baseman. So maybe a handful of teams could really use him. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, it's an interesting question. I'm kind of building up to something here that we're going to get to at the end of this part of the segment. But so George, I'm going to come back over to you. Cheez said half. What do you think? I'm going to make you go above half or below half. How many teams in Major League Baseball, the other 31, would say he's a superstar? Above half or below half?
I think I'd go above half just because of the resume and the reputation that Ketel Marte has built over the last few years. I think without question, he's been the best second baseman over the last 3-4 seasons. Now, I think there's a conversation if he's been the best second baseman this season, but I just believe because of the fact there isn't a long list of superstar level second basemen, that Ketel Marte sort of fits that category alongside guys like Bryce Durang. Now, I think he's having sort of an off season, and people may atone that towards his age, and that his age is getting up there, so he might struggle a little more. But I still think he is a superstar. Now, I don't know how many teams think of him that way just because you acquire a guy at that age. He's going to regress over the next few years. Maybe I might say over. I just think he has that reputation over the last few years. Maybe teams aren't watching as close as some others about how he's been playing this season in particular, but I still do think a lot of teams view him as a superstar. His trade value is one thing. He does have 10-5 rights, so he does have to agree to a trade. So that's sort of the tricky thing with Ketel Marte and some of the trade rumors around him this season. But I still think there are a lot of teams that think of Ketel Marte very highly. I mean, Torey Lovullo will probably tell you he's the best second baseman in the league, and there may be some debate on that, but Torey thinks very highly of his own players.
Well, Torey should, and Torey's always thought highly of his players. That's one of the things I think a lot of his players like about him. But, you said his reputation. Well, Ketel doesn't always and hasn't always had the greatest of reputations, and I'm sure, gentlemen, that you're aware he unfollowed the Diamondbacks on his Instagram, and he scrubbed all the Diamondbacks content from it. It probably has to do with the negative fan reaction of him not challenging that third strike call in the final at bat on that Cardinals series game where he was swinging at the first pitch. And it was after they loaded the bases against the Washington Nationals, and people were like, take a pitch, including me. When he swung, I was throwing stuff at the television. I was, what are you doing? and they eventually lost that game and lost that series, which was big for them. They lost that game 7-10. Cheez, I'm going to start with you again. What do you think about players having social media, and is it more beneficial or detrimental to themselves and, more importantly, their team?
It just, like, unfollowing him, what does that have to do with the fans being mad? Unfollowing the team, unless the team did something to him. He's just being a big baby. That's what he's doing. It's just being a baby. If you're going to be on social media, you need to have thick skin. You need to be able to understand people are going to say things. There are trolls out there. We have trolls on our podcast.
Yes, we do.
I have trolls on my
I've
channel.
ignored 4 or 5 of them already today.
Yes, I get trolls on my channel all the time. But you have to realize, like, just they're idiots. Like, and just have a thick skin. And if you can't, then why are you on social media?
Right. George, what about you? What about the dichotomy between social media and players having it and what it does for themselves and a team?
Yeah, it's a weird era because obviously there's not a long history of players and coaches having to deal with social media use. This is more of a recent thing as social media has grown and grown, and players want their own platforms nowadays. So it's a really weird thing. I think in this case, Ketel Marte might have been being a little overdramatic and talking to Torey Lovullo, Steve Gilbert, who works for Major League Baseball and the Diamondbacks. He said that this was sort of a nothing burger, but he did mention, like you said, that Ketel Marte was mad about the criticism that he got from swinging at that pitch. But Ketel Marte sort of has a history where things like that can get to him. And Torey Lovullo maybe babies him in a little bit of a way where he lets some things slide that maybe some managers wouldn't. Torey Lovullo is synonymous for being a player's manager. So maybe he's not as hard on Ketel Marte as he could. But obviously Ketel Marte is somebody who looks at social media and probably gets pretty frustrated over things like that. But for the most part, from what I've heard from Diamondbacks insiders, this is sort of a nothing story, but all at the same time, I think you can look further on this, is that Ketel Marte, I don't know, maybe doesn't have the best relationship with the fans right now.
All right. So here's my thing. And I'm this is a personal thing for me, and I'm leading to it. We're getting there. I swear. If you are a superstar and you act like this, aren't you saying, like, stop being mean to me, right? And aren't you really going, I can't stand the criticism, and I don't want you to do that to me. Gentlemen, if you want to be a superstar, Cheez said it a minute ago, you have to have that thick skin. You have to be able to make these judgment calls on and off the field. He's not been real great over the last couple of weeks at making those judgment calls. He did not challenge that third strike. He should have. That pitch wasn't even close, and that ended the game. He should not have swung at that pitch. That pitch was way too far inside. The pitcher had just walked the 3 batters prior to you. Shouldn't you take a pitch? The answer is yes, you should. And then when fans like myself or fans like either of the two of you criticize him, he's just like, oh, my God, stop it. You're being so mean. How about you stop, Ketel? If you want to be a superstar, be a superstar. And if you don't, maybe you should go somewhere else.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line between what's okay on social media and what's not. But I also think an athlete has to understand that they're playing on the biggest stage in America right now. There's no football going on. There's no basketball going on. It's just baseball. So people are watching the Diamondbacks, especially if you're from Arizona. Maybe you're paying attention to Cardinals training camp, whatever. But people are locked into the Diamondbacks right now. And if you make a mistake like that, and obviously, especially with that called strike 3 thing, people are going to criticize you online, because when it's mental mistakes, that's kind of where things go wrong. And especially criticism is earned. Obviously, like I mentioned, there's a fine line between being personal and then criticizing Ketel's play. But I just think as a player, you have to understand that if you make a mistake on the field, that this is Major League Baseball, and people love to talk on social media these days, that maybe stay off social media. Otherwise, you're going to see things that are going to frustrate you. But I definitely agree that, there has to be something to where you understand that there's going to be criticism. You have to be okay with that. You can't overreact to each thing that people are talking about you online, unless it is personal, because Ketel Marte has had a history where some people have taken personal shots at him, and it hasn't been okay, and he hasn't taken it very well, which is totally understandable.
Right. Now, Cheese already said in his comment earlier that he didn't see Ketel Marte being traded this season during this trade deadline. George, what about you? Do you think there's a possibility? Do you think there's no way? Or do you think there's a high probability that he'll get traded?
I don't see it. Like I mentioned earlier, he has his 10-5 right. So Ketel Marte has to approve a trade to another team. He's already made a list of teams that he won't go to. And I just think Ketel Marte doesn't want to leave right now. I don't think the organization wants Ketel Marte. There was obviously a situation last year where the organization was frustrated with him taking off games. Some insiders have tried to make the claim that they feel that way this year, but Torrey and other people have disproven that, said that's not the case. They feel very comfortable about Ketel. The organization loves him. The players love him. They talk very highly of him. And more importantly, Ketel Marte doesn't want to leave, and he would have to approve a trade. I think maybe down the line, depending on if the Diamondbacks start to struggle, maybe in the offseason, but I just don't see it happening at the trade deadline, especially while the Diamondbacks are still contenders. I think if anything, this organization, this management is going to is not going to do anything at the deadline, which would be very frustrating. But I think there's no way at this point they sell. And if they do sell, it's probably not going to be any of their stars.
All right. So, gentlemen, I'm tired of Ketel Marte. I'll be very honest. As a Diamondbacks fan, as a guy who sits here and watches this team night in and night out, I'm tired of him. I'm done. It's always something every year, like you just mentioned. Last year was he takes off too many games, and he went back home and he came back, and there was all of that stuff that we don't have time to bring up on this show right at the moment. But it seems like there's something every year, and I am ready to trade him. And I know the Tampa Bay Rays want him, so here we go. I know most people don't know these farm systems, so I'm not going to go into a big rant about who these people are, but look them up. Here's what I want. AAA outfielder first baseman Trey Morgan. That's their number 29 prospect. I want their AA right-handed pitcher Santiago Suarez. Again, you can go to Tampa Bay's site and look all these guys up on their top 30. And then I want AAA pitcher and right-hander Ty Johnson. You give me those three guys, you can have Ketel Marte. Even though he's on a team-friendly contract, I'm giving it to you because I'm just simply sick and tired of him. Do you think that happens at all, Cheese? Do you think maybe the Diamondbacks front office is sick and tired of him too? Or do you think the performance on the field outweighs that?
Performance on the field, but at the same time, because of that, all that stuff, his trade value is probably hurt. So you're not going to get what you want for him. I think they might listen if they get blown away, but that's just not going to happen. I think there's less than 1% chance he gets moved.
Wow, less than 1. George, would you put it that low? Less than 1?
He's got 10-5 rights. So
yeah, it depends. They've shopped him multiple times, and I feel like if they would have found a trade that they really liked, they might have pulled the trigger. The offseason, of course, there was plenty of talk about trading Ketel Marte. So maybe they just don't like where the market is at right now, or maybe there are a lot of people within the organization that are really split. Obviously, Torrey loves him. Some other guys in the organization love him, or maybe there's some people that want him out. So I think the organization might be split right now. But I think, again, it's up to Ketel whether or not he wants to leave. So that's really the tough part about where the Diamondbacks are right now. Maybe they did have a trade in line over the offseason, but Ketel can deny it at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know Tampa Bay wants a second baseman. That's probably the one spot where they're not really producing if you look at their team. And again, I talked about this earlier in the podcast. I think that the Rays are really going to be out there and they're really going to go for it. So that's the reason why I was doing this particular trade. So if they go after a starting pitcher, though, gentlemen, what do you think they can reasonably acquire? Let me give you the guy that I like. For my pick, I would like for him to go out and get Foster Griffin from the Nationals. 132 to 28 K for walk. Only 38 earned runs in 21 games. And Cheese and I talked about this earlier in the podcast. He is an expiring contract and was signed to a 1 year, $5.5 million. You're probably going to have to pay $2 million or so. Cheese, what do you think about the Nationals giving up on Foster Griffin because of where they are, and maybe the Diamondbacks acquiring Foster Griffin?
I don't know if they're going to sell. Definitely, if they are, they could probably get something for him for sure. Mm-hmm. What about Emerson Hancock? Is that his name?
From the Seattle Mariners, yep.
I think he'd be such a good fit. He's like a sinker slider guy, like a lot of ground balls. I think that fit well in the Diamondbacks stadium. I like that fit. I wonder what you guys think of him.
I like Emerson Hancock a lot. I think that would be the big go get for the Diamondbacks alongside a guy like Reed Detmers, and they'd have to unload a bit of their farm system to go out and get him. But the Diamondbacks like their controllable guys. They don't have a long history of going out there and getting rentals, although they've made a lot of trades in the past. So I think if they're going to go out and get a controllable guy, Emerson Hancock is a guy that definitely fits, like you mentioned, controllable, sinker. They have a really good defense behind them. So you like a pitch to contact sort of guy. I think Foster Griffin is a good guy to go out and get too. I like him a lot. Just saw him in the last series, Diamondbacks versus Nationals. But again, there is the question, if the Diamondbacks sell if the Nationals sell, they're in a weird spot alongside some of those other teams. The NL wildcard race has been really weird this year. There's not a whole lot of sellers. It's definitely a seller's market. So the team sitting at the bottom can get a big chunk of change for all these pitchers, including Emerson Hancock. He's probably going to, if he does get traded, he's going to go for a pretty penny.
Now, in the same episode, George, that you did with Gabriel Moreno, you mentioned a couple pitchers. I like one of them that you really mentioned, too. His name's Shane Bieber. I got his autograph not too long ago. It's one of my prized possessions over there in the corner. It's a really nice card, but he took it from me, was really nice, talked to me for a moment, signed it. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, yeah, now I really like Shane Bieber, and I'd love for him to come over here to the Arizona Diamondbacks. But, George, why do you like Bieber so much, and why do you think that they could actually go to Toronto and get him?
Yeah, so I believe that he just fits in their price range. I think that's number one. The Diamondbacks and the organization has sort of hinted they don't want to add a ton of money at the deadline. This is their most expensive team in team history this year. They're closing in on that luxury tax, so it just feels like they're going to have to get somebody that fits their what they want money-wise, and Shane Bieber just does just that. He's an unrestricted free agent in the offseason. Of course, you guys mentioned it with the lockout next season. I think that does affect how teams go out there and go for the deadline. Maybe a guy that's a rental is better. If anything, you go out again, a controllable guy, you lose a year of control on him. I don't believe the contracts are going to change just because there's a lockout. So I like Shane Bieber within that sense. I also think that Shane Bieber is a guy who's been there, done that in the World Series just last season. He has postseason experience. You want a guy that has postseason experience, especially if you're going to make a big run. You want a guy that's been in those big moments. Shane Bieber has been one of the best pitchers in baseball in his career. Of course, he's dealt with some injuries recently, but this season, as he's gotten healthier, he's been better and better. And the funny part is I was almost looking at him like an hour ago, and I believe he walked 6 batters in his start today. He had a really bad outing today, but maybe his trade value goes down as a result, and the Diamondbacks can get him for a little cheaper. So I just believe he fits their mold. They're looking for a 4 or a 5 right now. I think you have the front of your rotation set with Corbin Burns and Eduardo Rodriguez. They have a few other guys, so I just believe a 4 or a 5 is realistic for them right now. Obviously, a big splash would be a guy like Griffin or a guy like Detmers or a guy like Emerson Hancock, but not 100% sure if they do that just with how much they have invested in the rotation right now.
All right, so we're talking about the new people that the Diamondbacks might go out and get. George, you're the new guy over at Locked On Diamondbacks, and people might turn to you for this kind of stuff with Diamondbacks coverage. Why should they do that, George? Give us a 30-second spiel on exactly what you bring to the table and why people need to come over to Locked On Diamondbacks and listen to you 5 days a week.
Yeah, I'm a high energy guy. I love covering the Diamondbacks. I live and breathe baseball. It's so fun to me. It's a passion, and I've really dived into this team recently. And the more I cover this team, the more I'm going to know about this team. I've covered ASU for the last 2 years. I've been around Arizona, so I know the team. I'm familiar with the fan base and everything that comes along with it. I give a really a different take, I'd like to think. I look around at all the other Diamondbacks podcasts, and I believe I give a fresh perspective. I like stats, but I also like to tell you what it is. And, I feel like I have my own sort of personality that's different from a lot of different guys. So, I take bits and pieces from maybe all the other Diamondbacks podcasts, but I like to think that I give a unique take. I believe you're going to find out something new about the team every time you're going to watch my podcast. And also on top of that is the reason that Locked On has been successful as an organization is because of the 5-day-a-week podcast. So you're getting consistent Diamondbacks podcast every single day throughout the work week. So you're never gonna miss out with some content that I'm going to be able to provide. So a lot of things to like. I'd love for people to continue to give me a chance.
All right. So you mentioned ASU, George. If I go after a hitter, I want a very specific former ASU Sun Devil, Spencer Torkelson. I think if the Detroit Tigers start selling, I think there's a good possibility they sell him. I know his bat's declining. He's got 18 home runs. He hits 75% of his balls either to center or he pulls them to left. And if you look, the left field fences in Comerica, 345, and they're only 390 here at Chase. And the center field's 420. It's only 407 here at Chase. So maybe some potential for some more home runs. He still has a 998 fielding percentage with only 2 errors, and he leads the league with 102 games played at first base. He's only 26, and he's not a free agent. You talked about controllable players until 2029. He made roughly $4 million this season. And according to Fangraphs, starting this season, the Diamondbacks were 27 of 32 teams at first base as far as their production, and that was with Carlos Santana, who they have since DFA'd, and Pavin Smith as the top 2 guys, and they've demoted him. So they need more from first base. Cheez, I'm going to start with you, buddy. When you've got a spot like that, and you're a team that wants to go to the postseason, and you're 27 of 32, don't you have to improve that as you get closer to the playoffs?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you got to fix your weaknesses. That's what the trade deadline is all about. It's like, if you have one spot, either defensively, offensively, or both, you got to fix that weakness. You get in the postseason. I mean, there are teams that will have like 4 or 5 absolute studs in their lineup, and then the bottom of the order is trash. Mm-hmm. And they're going to come up with people on base and 2 out, and you need them to come through. So, yeah, the best teams have the fewest weaknesses.
All right. So, George, give me a hitter that you think the Diamondbacks should either go after or you would just like to see on this team because of the fit.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. First base is a big issue for the Diamondbacks right now. A few weeks ago, the last time they played the Padres, it was on ESPN, and ESPN flashed this graphic that said the Diamondbacks team OPS at first base is the lowest across the league of any team since 1920. It had been that bad for the Diamondbacks. Since then, I wouldn't say they've fixed the issue. They've definitely brought in new players that have found sort of hot streaks. So it's been better. I don't believe they've been historically bad in the live ball era. Since that point, they've had a few guys to step up. But the big issue for this team has been against right-handed pitching. I haven't checked recently, but for a while there, they were the worst team in baseball against right-handed pitching. So they're in desperate need of a first baseman, and they're in desperate need of a left-handed hitter. So a guy I like, and I've talked about a bit on my show, is Nathaniel Lowe from the Reds. He's incredibly cheap, and the Diamondbacks are looking for cheap players right about now. And the funny part about him is Nathaniel Lowe, he signed to the Reds on a 1-year, $1.75 million deal, while the Diamondbacks signed Carlos Santana to a 1-year, $2 million deal. Well, Nathaniel Lowe has been one of the best hitters in baseball against right-handed pitching, and Carlos Santana is DFA'd. So the Diamondbacks could have just fix the issue if they sign the right guy.
AAA.
AAA.
Exactly. Right, yeah. So Nathaniel is a guy I like a lot. I believe he has maybe an over 800 OPS against right-handed pitching this year. They desperately need a first baseman. They've been rolling out with Tyler Locklear, who's a second-year player, who's had a great stint up in the majors, but you never know how long it's going to last. Tim Tawa is a utility guy they have. He's sort of played all over. Don't know if you can rely on him to be an everyday first baseman. Ildemar Vargas is also a utility guy who's played everywhere for the Diamondbacks. So they're kind of they just have a bunch of utility guys at first baseman right now. They like to get somebody that can play almost every day, and you're going to see a lot of righties. So Nathaniel Lowe is a guy you can play there every day. So he's a guy I like a lot. That's sort of a cheap option. They could go really high. We talked about Luis Garcia of the Nationals a few times on the show, but again, I don't know if they're going to be sellers. So he would have been a nice option, but Nathaniel Lowe is a guy I like a lot. Just feels like he fits their mold. He's cheap, unrestricted free agent in the offseason, and fixes some of their issues that they have right now.
Yeah, I like that fit. Actually, I know the Reds and the Diamondbacks. Those are the two teams that I look at the most. And I said it with Shane Bieber earlier. I got a really nice one of 499 for Nathaniel Lowe that I got him to sign for me. So, yeah, I like him a lot too. But I agree with you that he fits the mold, as you like to say. Fantastic. So do the Diamondbacks have any untouchable prospects? That'll be our next spot here. My opinion is no. In fact, guys, I'm ready to give up on two of the prospects that I thought were untouchable in recent years in Jordan Lawler and Drew Jones. Cheez, I don't know how much you know about those two particular players. What do you know about Jordan Lawler and Drew Jones? And are you in my camp that you're ready to give up on them?
Well, Diamondbacks feel like they haven't had much luck in the top 10 drafting. When they took Pavin Smith, you thought he was gonna be amazing. Like, left-handed first baseman. No, he's not very good. Drew Jones most people had him as the best player in the draft. The guy he just doesn't hit for power. He doesn't have any power.
Right.
He's speedy. He's toolsy. I mean, it's a big deal to me because I'm such a big fan of his dad's. So
we'll talk about his dad here in a little bit.
I wouldn't trade Case and Cunningham. That's probably
pulling out people from their system. Look at you, Cheez.
I watched, me in the drafts. There's a first round pick last year.
It's true. I know.
I really like him. I think I think he's going to hit. He can hit. I think a lot of these guys that fail, they just don't hit enough. They get to they're 220, 230. They just don't hit. He can hit. So I don't know if I'd trade him. Plus he's a lefty, left-handed infielder. But other than that, I don't know if there's anyone in the organization. I'm curious what George thinks that is just like untouchable, or someone that you just please don't trade. Please don't trade.
Right. So, George, what do you think? Is there anybody in the system that is untouchable? And what do you think about the two guys that I'm ready to get rid of, Drew Jones and Jordan Lawler?
Yeah, I don't think there is anybody that's necessarily untouchable. I don't think they have this can't miss prospect right now that they're waiting for to save their team soon. They have a lot of players that they definitely like. Case Cunningham was their first round pick last year. Really young shortstop who they hope can be a big impact on the team in a few years. But again, he's not going to impact the team in a few years. And they have this core right now they'd like to build upon. So I think if they go out and get the right player that they really want, they go out and get a guy like Reed Detmers or Emerson Hancock, a controllable starter that they can have for a few years, because they do have a lot of guys that are aging in this rotation. Corbin Burns, Eduardo Rodriguez aren't getting any younger. Merrill Kelly too. Zach Gallen's a free agent in the offseason. So they're going to have a lot of changes next year, and the rotation's pretty old as is. So if they go out and get a controllable starter, I think they'd like to do that. But the price would have to be right. Of course, Demetrio Casantes, Case Cunningham are some of their top prospects, but I think they deal them in the right move to get a guy that they like in the long term. So I don't think there's necessarily anybody that's untouchable. You've heard some rumors already about some of their guys in their farm system, because they do have a really deep farm system on top of that. So I don't necessarily think they'd be missing anything by dealing some of those guys. On the Drew Jones and the Jordan Lawler aspect, Jordan Lawler is such an interesting prospect and player as is, because before he was injured recently, it really felt like he was starting to break out. He was hitting about 320. He was going to be a big addition, changing over to center field because he was just never going to be able to get the time on the infield. But then again, he injures his hamstring running on a bunt. And it's like, man, if you can't stay healthy running on a bunt, then how can we rely on this guy? So I think there's something to be said that I was almost going to mention it on my show. Could you use Jordan Lawler as a trade chip? But who would take a flyer on Jordan Lawler when he hasn't had a proven history of being healthy? Now, there's been some things that have sort of been freak injuries, you can almost say. But you look at a guy that you can't rely on for 15 games to not get injured running on a bunt. It's very frustrating. So I like Jordan Lawler a lot. I think when he's healthy, he's going to be a good player for the Diamondbacks eventually. But eventually he's going to run out of opportunities. They're only going to give him so many opportunities before they say, well, if you can't help us out in center field, we're going to find somebody that does. Ryan Walchmit was their former top overall prospect before he's reached non-prospect status anymore. He's been playing center field for them. Tommy Troy was the top 5 prospect before he was injured. He was playing center field. So they're obviously trying out some of these other young guys in center field already. So if he can't play infield, if there's no spot for him in center field, where is he going to play? So they might move him. Drew Jones is another interesting guy where the glove has always been there, but he's got to figure out the bat. And he's been a lot better this year. I don't have his stats right in front of me, but I believe he might be closing in on hitting about 300 this year, which is really good for him. So the bat has actually improved, believe it or not. So he's getting better. Obviously he was drafted out of high school, and sometimes people exactly. So sometimes people don't have patience with these guys out of high school. It's you look at his first few years and he's really struggled. I think Drew Jones is making improvements. I don't believe if you were to do a redraft, you wouldn't draft Drew Jones that high. I'm still a believer in him, but obviously the clock is ticking. Similar on Jordan Lawler. He's got to be able to be a major league hitter. And right now he's barely a single A, double A hitter. So he's got a lot of work to do, but I believe he's making the right strides to make the right improvements.
All right, so just a couple of things. Number one, we'll talk about Drew's dad here in a little bit. When we're done here with George, we're going to do one last segment that'll be pretty quick. Of course, we always do the batting cleanup, sponsored by ForwardFan.com. We'll get to that here in just a moment. As far as who will take a chance on a player like Jordan Lawler, well, all of these bottom feeder teams will. The Royals will, the Marlins will. All of these kind of clubs, I think, will take a chance on them, and a lot of them have some pieces that I think could help the Diamondbacks now. So that's kind of where I was going with all of that. And with everything said and done, let's move on to this. Clark, Ginkel, Loizaga, Murillo, Thompson, Sewald. Gentlemen, they're all good, but they're all right-handers. And you've got a rookie in Brandon Garcia, who's your only lefty in the pen. I propose that this trade, Drew Jones and Alberto Del Castillo to the Cincinnati Reds, where Nathaniel Lowe comes from, for Brady Singer and lefty Brock Burke. The lefty gives you, he's been in tight spots. He's been in championship games before. And then Brady Singer gives you a guy who can give you a chance in the rotation. Not a stud, but he gives you a chance. Cheez, what do you think? Trading Drew Jones and their backup catcher Alberto Del Castillo to the Reds. And they do that because I think the Reds are going to trade Tyler Stevenson, so it gives them another catcher for Brady Singer and Brock Burke. Go ahead, sir.
I don't think the Reds would do that deal. I don't think Drew Jones at this point is big on a prospect, and Brock Burke's been very good as lefty reliever, and Brady Singer's had a real good last month, so his stock is higher. I would do that if I was the Diamondbacks, probably. Okay. I just don't think the Reds would do that, but I get those two players would definitely help the Diamondbacks.
George, Go ahead, bud.
Yeah, Drew Jones is only the Diamondbacks' 24th overall prospect per MLB pipeline. So he's fallen down, and his reputation has definitely fallen down over the last few years. He just hasn't developed. Yeah, well,
that's crazy.
You might think he's younger than he is. He's already 22, and he's still in Double-A. And I looked at it. He hit 360 last month, which was a step in the right direction. I think that's what I was thinking of when I said he was hitting 300. So he had a great June, but he's back down to, I believe, about 240 this month. So he made a few strides over a month, but then he's kind of come back to earth. So his development has gone a lot slower than I think the Diamondbacks would want to. So it maybe depends on the team if you're betting on him to really break out in a big way. And Alberto Castillo is a nice player, but he might be kind of a quadruple A sort of player. That's sort of what he's been for the Diamondbacks, kind of going up and down on the team, although I think he is a nice piece and he could develop on the right team. But I think the Diamondbacks might have to give up a little more for that, especially for Brady Singer, and then you get a reliever on top of it. But you make a really good point. They only have one lefty in the bullpen, and it's really hurt them in this Pirate series. The Pirates have the second best team OPS against right-handed pitching in baseball, and the Diamondbacks came into the series with using Braden Garcia the previous day against the Nationals, so they couldn't use him yesterday, which was really frustrating because then they had to go to a bunch of righty relievers, and then they blew the game because of Jonathan Loizaga and a few other guys. So there is a big need for a left-handed reliever, and like you mentioned, a back-end starter.
Yeah. Okay, so there are several injured players that are coming back. That's one of the reasons why it's why I included Adrian Del Castillo in this trade. You can get him off of your 40, and then as you start bringing these pitchers back, so you got Soroka, you got Gallen, you got Jameson, you got Nelson, you got Martinez, you got Corbin Burns. They're all in throwing programs and will be back probably within the next, I would say, 21 to 30 days or so, depending. And then you've got hitters. You got Gurriel Jr. and you got Jordan Lawler coming back. George, I'm actually going to start with you on this one. Which one of these players that I just mentioned, you got Soroka, Gallen, Jameson, Nelson, Martinez, Burns, Gurriel Jr., Jordan Lawler, which ones do you think can actually help the club now and their push towards the playoffs?
I probably have most of my belief in Michael Soroka. He was on a tear before he got injured, which was really frustrating because he was on pace to potentially be the Diamondbacks' best pitcher. He really revamped his pitching motion. He's changed his pitches. I mean, since his years in Atlanta, he's a completely different pitcher. really revived his career after he dealt with so many injuries, and he's been fantastic. Big strikeout pitcher now, but it is frustrating it's taken him so long because now he has to go through a throwing program, and it takes him a little longer to get back from injury. But the Diamondbacks desperately need a starter right now, and Michael Soroka would probably be the guy I would bet on the most. He's shown he can go deep into games. He's shown that this isn't really a fluke. This might actually be Michael Soroka, where he's sitting around potentially a low 3 ERA. I don't know yet if I trust Corbin Burns. Pitchers coming back from Tommy John are sort of a mixed bag on what you're going to be able to get. I don't trust Lourdes Gurriel Jr. He's shown that when he's just not healthy, he doesn't have his legs under him, and he's really struggled at the plate. Who knows what you're going to get back from Jordan Lawler again. He's another guy that's consistently injury prone. Ryan Nelson, the report with him is that he might not come back as a starter this season because he wouldn't be able to ramp up and be able to start again. So he might come back as a reliever. Drew Jamison hasn't been good in the time that he's been around the Diamondbacks this season. Maybe a guy that you didn't mention right there, AJ Puck. He's had a few setbacks, and I don't actually know what to deal with it with his AJ Puck.
I'm not counting on him.
Yeah, they need a left-handed pitcher, and he'd probably be the guy that would be best in that bullpen. I love Martinez, and I think he should be the Diamondbacks closer. He would be if he were healthy. And Paul Stewart has a 5 ERA after another blown save tonight. I think if you can get Martinez back healthy, that's a really big addition for this bullpen. We've talked about a lot what the Diamondbacks need at the deadline, and it's relief pitching and it's starting pitching. Well, they have all of that on the injured list. It's just a matter of when these guys are going to come back because they've had so many setbacks, and what you're going to be able to get out of these guys when they do come back. Are they going to be their former selves, or are they still nursing some injuries until the rest of the season?
Yeah, I would say go get Kirby Yates from the Angels, but that's just me. Cheez, you got Gallen and you got Soroka. If it were me, I'd put them as bullpen pieces, especially if I could get two decent starters like Brady Singer or Shane Bieber or Foster Griffin, as we've already talked about. Jameson and Martinez, I would probably put them on lengthy rehab assignments and just kind of put them on the shelf until next year. But Nelson and Corbin Burns, Cheez, I think they're interesting, and they might even be good wild card players for this team. What do you think about these guys that we're talking about here, bud?
The last two could be, but you can't count on it. But one thing you mentioned, Soroka, when he was with the White Sox, he was much better out of the pen. That's kind of where he revitalized his career after.
Absolutely, I agree.
He kept tearing his Achilles. He had this, and then he's the weirdest thing. Then he was just walking. He was still with Brave and just tore it again. He was just walking. And then he goes to the White Sox, and when he worked out of the bullpen, he was very effective, better as a starter. So I could definitely see him maybe be like a seventh inning type guy. So I would definitely consider doing that if they trade for a starter.
All right. So George, man, I've listened to a lot of your podcasts. How many podcasts have you done? I know there was another guy, and then there was some real loser before that guy. That was me, by the way.
There's a lot of guys.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, man, I've got mad respect for what you do. I know you're a recent college graduate. I think you're in a great spot being that way. You probably don't have a wife and kids and all this stuff that you got to feed and everything else, right? It's rough. I did it for, about a month. In fact, I did it for less than a month because I told them not to even worry about paying me. I was like, don't even send me the check. Just keep it. And, I didn't do that much for you. So, what you have to do you be quiet there, guy in the middle. We'll smash you like a pimple. So what you have to do in order to be the guy for Locked On Diamondbacks is a lot. It's a lot more than people want to give it credit for. You have to do the artwork. You've got to be able to come up with topics. You got to be able to do all kinds of stuff. So why, George? Why the Arizona Diamondbacks and why Locked On?
Yeah, I think in the Diamondbacks case, I covered ASU for the last 4 years, covered ASU baseball pretty seriously, as I'd like to think the head beat writer for the last 2 years. So for me, it was an easy transition. I had a lot of people that already followed me on Twitter and some other social platforms to make the transition from covering Arizona State to covering the Arizona Diamondbacks. It felt like I could bring some of the attention and some of the guys that I had over there watching me and watching and reading all my stuff over to covering the Diamondbacks. So it felt like an easy transition. I'm already here in Arizona, so it just makes sense that I'm talking about the Diamondbacks already. And, I've kept up to date with the Diamondbacks the last 4 years. Now, of course, this is the most I've watched the team and paid attention to the team, but it's a team that I'm very familiar with being here. I've been to a ton of games. I know the fan experience. I know the beat writer experience of covering ASU. I understand all the different perspectives. So I feel like it was an easy transition going from Arizona State to the Diamondbacks, especially a team that I'm familiar with. And then with Locked On, like you mentioned, it's a big company and there's a lot of people that have my support that have really helped me out to get this podcast underway. And like I mentioned, I've been a beat writer and mostly done writing the last 4 years. So the next step to add a skill to my resume, to my repertoire, is to be able to talk in front of a camera. And as you guys well know, talking in front of a camera, being energetic, building topics and creating a show is its own sort of skill. So trying to get better at that and create more skills on top of my resume. I just want to do more and more. It's, you're more valuable the more things you can do. So something new, but definitely something I wanted to challenge myself, and Locked On brings a good opportunity to where I sort of already had an audience because it is Locked On and it's already a show that's been established. So it wasn't like I was starting from zero. So it helped a little bit that I already had a fan base that, maybe the host, they didn't like me as a host. So maybe some people tuned out, but then some people were on board with a new host. So it already felt like a platform that I wasn't starting from zero necessarily. I sort of had a good basis. And then on top of that, a lot of people coming over from Arizona State that wanted to tune in to a new Diamondbacks podcast.
All right. Well, buddy, you've impressed me today. I mean, I've listened to some of your stuff. I really think you're in a good spot. Well, I think my next step is we're going to have to go to a game together. I'm going to have to buy some tickets, and we're going to have to sit there, even though, you probably got these nice seats and we can sit in the suite somewhere, but we'll have to get the cheap seats for me, but that's okay. We'll go to something and we'll sit and chat about the game. I can't wait to do that with you here in the near future. Eduardo Rodriguez, gentlemen, his value will never be higher. He's never performed like this, and his numbers suggest he's pitching over his head. George, would you consider trading him? Personally, I would trade him. What about you? Would you consider doing something like that?
Yeah, I think there's an argument to be made. I've sort of gone back and forth with people on Twitter about whether or not the Diamondbacks should do it, because obviously they're going to have a ton of holes in the rotation next year, and you're relying on Corbin Burns and Brandon Pfaadt to continue these turnarounds. At the time when I was having more of the discussion, it was before Merrill Kelly and Brandon Pfaadt had sort of turned their seasons around. But like you mentioned, his value is never going to be higher. He was the worst pitcher and one of the worst pitchers in baseball the last 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. And like you mentioned, he's top 5 in the league in left on base percentage. And it's just a mark that he's not going to be able to sustain. He doesn't throw 100 miles per hour like Chase Burns or Jacob Mizorowski. So he's got to have pinpoint command. We've seen in a few outings from him recently that when he doesn't have pinpoint command, the results are really poor because he relies on deception and a 92 mile per hour fastball and sort of being a pitch to contact guy. So I feel like he's got away with a lot of loud starts. In his last start versus the Nationals, he gave up 7 hits and 3 walks, only gave up 2 earned runs. That's sort of been the story with Eduardo Rodriguez all season. So I think it's whether or not the organization believes that this is sustainable for Eduardo Rodriguez, that he can live with all this on-base pressure and still be able to hold a low ERA. I just think another reason is the Diamondbacks are in contention right now, and he's sort of been their horse this season. He's been their probably team MVP this season based on the results that he's been able to have in the ERA department. So I just don't think the Diamondbacks might be ready to deal him. I think maybe if there was a dramatic drop-off, they would have thought about it. But maybe the organization is too fond of Eduardo Rodriguez right now. I know that Torey Lovullo has a long history when he was back with the Red Sox, and Torey Lovullo was with the Red Sox, so Eduardo Rodriguez. So really likes him. It's just a matter of the Diamondbacks are going to be buyers most likely. So I just don't think they would. But I think there is definitely a conversation. His trade value is never going to be higher, and there's a lot of belief that he won't be able to sustain the amount of success that he's been able to have right now. So it's an interesting discussion. I definitely think you could get like I mentioned before, a pretty penny for Eduardo Rodriguez. Just the situation might not be there for it.
Right now, if it's me, and Cheez, I'll get to you here in just a second, buddy. I would trade him to the Texas Rangers. They even got you a person, second base / center field. They need a center fielder. They haven't decided who they're going to do. And, if you remember from earlier in our discussion, I'm trading away our current second baseman. So I'm going to bring in a guy named Cam Cauley from the Rangers. He draws comparisons to Dustin Pedroia. He's small and he's gritty and he's versatile. honestly sounds like a Diamondbacks player to me. But Cheez, what do you think about trading a guy whose value would never be higher, even though you're in a pennant race for a spot in the playoffs?
You guys want? I mean, Mike, you want to sell? You're trying to sell
Ketel Marte. I would sell Eduardo Rodriguez. I would.
If you cannot trade Ketel Marte and Eduardo Rodriguez unless you're just like we're not going to try. Like we're selling off. I mean,
you're getting good stuff back. Trust me. Look up those people I suggested.
No. His value's never been higher. There's no doubt about it. And I get what you're thinking, but if you're going for it, you're trying to make the playoffs, which they would make the playoffs if the season ended today. They would be the last wild card. Mm-hmm. You can't trade either one of those. Like either one you trade would diminish the team. And so I get what you're thinking. You're thinking value. This is the way Mike thinks. Mike looks at stats and value, like, oh, what can we get for him? What can we get? But I just do not see it happening. If they were like 51 and 58, sure, yeah, I'm sure they'd be shopping both of them. But I don't see it at all. Rodriguez has been really good this year.
And their organization really gets attached to players. Pavin Smith is a good example that he was hitting about 100, his batting average 100 for about a month and a half. Like I mentioned, the Padres or ESPN flashed that graphic that they've been historically bad, and they still wouldn't give up on him. All Mike Hazen and Torey Lovullo could say was that it's coming. So they really get attached to these players, and they sometimes feel like they don't want to depart them, whether they're struggling or succeeding. Right. So I think especially when a guy is succeeding that Torey has a long history with, they'll do anything they can to not let those guys go. So it's a weird line because they really do get attached to these players that they really like, and especially guys that are performing well. And if they're in a race, they might not move those guys.
And that's what I try really hard not to do, is get attached to these players, right? There are certain, I mean, I've got a Pavin Smith autograph right over there. He took his time, talked to me and everything else. I like Pavin Smith, but he's not my end all be all first baseman, right? You've got to perform. And if you don't perform, you're out. Or if you're a whiny baby, to me, you're out. I'm picky, and there's plenty of players out there and plenty of teams that would love to have you. So I'll trade you and get something back. Here we go. Cheez, you showed this to me. You sent it to me. Let's pull it up on the screen. I will probably have to take the graphic off the top. And yes, I'm going to have to. That'll take me just a second here. So let me hit the button and get that off the top. This, gentlemen, is team fielding run value. You'll look. Cheez's Chicago Cubs are number 1. And look, the Arizona Diamondbacks are number 2. So Cheez, you sent me this. Tell me what this means and why it's so important, buddy.
Pretty simple. It's Fangraphs defensive runs saved, adding all the fielders together. So when you hear defensive runs saved, this person leads the league. This adds up the entire team. So if you have like a really good shortstop, but the rest of the infield's terrible, you probably might have a negative, DFS. So it's basically just showing overall, how good your defense is as far as saving runs, overall of the. I guess it's the 9. Maybe it's 8 positions. I don't know if it includes pitcher. I have no idea. I'm assuming it doesn't. But,
no, I don't think it does.
Okay, that's basically what the chart is. It's just showing who has the best overall defense in the league.
All right, so George, what kind of merit would you put behind this stat? As Cheez explained, this is everybody's defense put together, and the Diamondbacks ranked 2nd.
Yeah, I think it's really important for this team in particular. You'll notice with a lot of Diamondbacks pitchers is that the way they succeed is just pounding the zone. You're not going to see a lot of strikeouts from a lot of different Diamondbacks hitters. They just pound the zone, and there are a lot of pitch to contacts. Brandon Pfaadt, the reason he's turned his season around is because he's about a 70% strike rate. He's just pounding the zone. But the reason they can do that is because they have such athletic fielders behind them that continue to make plays. We just talked about Eduardo Rodriguez. A big reason why he's been so successful being a pitch to contact guy is because Geraldo Perdomo, Gabriel Moreno, Corbin Carroll, a lot of these guys have saved them from some pretty hard hit balls. So it's a big reason why the Diamondbacks have been so successful this year. It's a pretty underrated reason why they've been so successful this year is that they have this lockdown defense behind them. So I think it's really important. You'll see, the Diamondbacks have had so much go wrong for them, but defense has been a big reason why their bullpen, some of their starters have been really successful this season. So I put a lot of value into this, especially when you look at how the team has operated this year. The Diamondbacks certainly have made some starters look better than maybe they've been. This Eduardo Rodriguez, like I mentioned. So I put a lot of value behind this. They have some really good defenders. I mean, when you add Nolan Arenado to a team that's already pretty good defensively, that only bolsters what it's been. And Geraldo Perdomo, Gabriel Moreno, probably having their two best defensive seasons of their career.
All right. So, George, I'll stick with you for a second. Only 7 teams on this list are in double digits, and 3 of them are in the National League West. Does that say anything about how tough this division is?
Yeah, it's a really tough division. I know some teams have underperformed, but it almost feels like the Rockies are still somewhat of a quality team just because of some of the bats they have.
Well,
The Giants still have plenty of talent, although they've struggled this year. But then you look at sort of the top up. The Padres are a really good defensive team. They have some superstars that have underperformed. The NL West is sort of a weird team this year. Some teams have underperformed. Some teams have maybe overperformed. I think the Diamondbacks have certainly overperformed. But yeah, it's a tough division. I mean, when the best team in baseball leads that division, it's always going to be pretty tough top to bottom.
Right. So, Cheez, 7 teams are in double digits that lead this graphic, and then there are 7 teams that are in the negative by double digits too. Do certain teams just not care about defense, or why do we have 7 teams in the bottom that are that bad?
None of the Mets ever cared about defense. Well, I mean, the Angels are bad at everything. That's not surprising to see them low. But I mean, if you look at those teams, the bottom 7, none of them would make the playoffs if this season ended today. So I think the bat is more important. I think that's obvious. But some teams just they're willing. I don't know. I'm not in the front offices, but I think it's really important. And some teams you can tell, like Arizona, like St. Louis, like Chicago, they put a huge emphasis on not only guys that can hit, but guys that can field. But maybe he may not, maybe a league average batter, slightly below, but he's going to make the play. He's going to have great range. So, yeah, if you just look at the teams, the Cubs and Diamondbacks at the season today would make the playoffs.
Yeah, there's a big correlation between teams that make the simple plays, make the hard plays, save their pitching staff, that are going to be successful. I mean, you can look top to bottom. A lot of those teams, if you're making the plays, if you're top in defense, you're going to be a successful team. I know the Blue Jays have maybe underperformed a little bit, but defense is a big thing that people don't give a lot of players credit for. I talk about Pete Crow Armstrong a lot. People don't give a lot of credit for how dominant he is defensively, and he's a big reason why the Cubs are at the top there.
Man, stop sucking up.
And no, but the thing was, like with the Cubs, like 47 runs saved. That's a lot of wins. No. They've won more games than they've saved their pitchers. Let's put it this way. A lot of wins. They've saved their team a lot of wins by having that elite defense. And it's not just PCA. PCA obviously is the biggest part of it, but Ian Happ in left field, Dansby Swanson at short, Nico Horner at second, all could win the Gold Glove. So they have so many guys. I don't know if they have a spot where they're weak. Maybe right field is the only spot that you might say is even below average. So that's just to have all those players, you hit it anywhere pretty much except right field to have, a Gold Glove caliber. That's just incredible advantage.
Right. So, Cheez, I'm going to do one last thing here with you on this graphic, and then we're going to take it off the board. We got one more question to get to here, and then we'll have George plug some of his stuff here at the end. But you've got Seattle, you've got Minnesota, and you've got Pittsburgh in the bottom tier of this. Is their defense going to keep them from making the playoff push?
Yeah. Look at those numbers. I mean, you miss it by a game or two. That's terrible. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. It can be that simple. It can be just a yes. I mean,
the answer is yes.
I'll give you a good example. The Pirates made 3 errors against the Diamondbacks tonight, and they lost by 1 run. 2 of those errors, I believe, turned into a run. So there you go.
There you go. All right. Look at this. All of us combining together to make a great show. Look at that, how that all happens. All right. So lastly, gentlemen, Fangraphs. It's not counting today's win against Pittsburgh. It is counting yesterday's loss against Pittsburgh. Fangraphs gave the Arizona Diamondbacks a 31.8% to make the playoffs. Cheez is at a high enough percentage to push all your chips into the middle, and go out and get 3 or 4 players at the deadline.
Wait, the Diamondbacks?
Yes.
31.8% right now?
Correct.
That can't be right.
It is. I looked it up before we. It was so again. It was as yesterday.
They're wrong because, like, first of all, they make the playoffs as the season ended today, and second of all, they don't have the hardest schedule left compared to a lot of those teams. So,
well, you got to remember. We were talking earlier. They do play the Cubs. They play the Phillies. They still play a lot of these teams that are close to them in the wild card, and I think that's where this percentage is where it's at, because if they lose a lot of those games, then they're going to get knocked out of that race.
I could be wrong. I might have been mixing them up. I thought they were on a list of like one of the easiest schedules, but I would give a greater, much greater, to answer your question.
I believe it always also factors in the fact that there's so many teams in that NL wildcard race right now that it's sort of maybe splitting that percentage between a lot of those teams. In this race right now, if the Diamondbacks go on a 4-game skid, they might be 3 spots down below the NL wildcard race. So I think it is just the amount of teams that are in this race right now, and really only maybe the Cubs have quote unquote run away with it, but even then they're only maybe 5 games above that last spot. So there's just a lot of teams in the race right now. Maybe that percentage goes up to about 35 or so after this win today. So it's a tough race.
And it would really go up if they'd win tomorrow's game, because then they have the tiebreaker against Pittsburgh too. So big game tomorrow for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So, gentlemen, I believe Cheez already answered this question. He was surprised it was 31.8. It was that low. George, are you in that same boat? Are you surprised that it's that low, or would you give them a higher percentage to make the playoffs right now if they make no moves whatsoever?
I still think that a lot of fans may not understand how many players the Diamondbacks have on the injured list, that this team can theoretically not at the deadline and still get some superstars in the back half of the year. I mean, Corbin Burns could lead their staff on any given season, but there's a lot of question marks relying around a lot of those guys. Michael Soroka can be a good maybe 3-4 on a contender. So they have a lot of good players that are going to come back from injury. So if they don't make a move, they're still going to get better as the season goes on. But I believe some of their biggest holes on the team are players that they are not going to get back from injury. Like I mentioned, first base, a left-handed hitter, a left-handed reliever, and who knows when AJ Puck is going to come back. So I think maybe 35, 36, 37 would be a good mark as of right now. I think that number goes up in a big way if they're able to beat the Pirates tomorrow. But I do think that's a good mark for them right now. I don't look too much into playoff odds. I think you can just kind of look at where they are in the NL wildcard race and say, well, if they beat these teams. But the Diamondbacks have a lot of good things coming, hopefully ahead of them, at least getting guys back from injury. But we've been saying that all season. These guys are going to be back. These guys are going to be back. And then Corbin Burns has a setback. AJ Puck has a setback. Michael Soroka is injured. Ryan Nelson is injured. So they've had so many setbacks that how much can you really rely on those guys coming back from injury? So the Diamondbacks are a really weird team right now. I don't really know what to think of them. 1 second they're winning 5 games in a row. The next they're losing 4 games in a row. 1 second you'll think they're, they might catch up to the Dodgers. And then the next second, maybe they're sellers. So they're a really weird team right now.
Well,
all right, so go ahead. Go ahead,
you bring
Cheez,
up
go
a
ahead.
good point. The playoff percentage is what you are now and what they project you going forward. But like the Marlins went on, I don't know how many games they lost.
12 or 13, yeah.
Yeah, that their playoff odds went to in the basement. Like, and then what the Red Sox, when they won all those games in a row, their odds changed. So that's a great point. Like, it's what they project going forward. But anyone can go on a 7-game winning streak, 7-game losing streak, completely changes everything.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks swept the Dodgers before the All-Star break. Who would have predicted that?
Right. And I'm sure that's where they were at their all-time high all season, was right at that point when then their fan graphs are like, oh, well, shoot, maybe this team is for real. Let's bump their chances up a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. All right, buddy. Hey, George, man, this has been fun. I appreciate you coming on with us here on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. I know on X, our fans can get you at LO_Diamondbacks. What about YouTube and some other social medias? How can they get you?
Yeah, I believe the socials are just Locked On Diamondbacks on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, all the different platforms, posting clips and different announcements on there about the shows coming out. But Locked On Diamondbacks on YouTube. And then, of course, you can also listen to the show on whatever platform you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever the case may be. And then I post my own Diamondback stuff on X at G1 Media. You can look up George Lund, and I'm sure it will come up. But posting a lot of stuff on there, that's kind of where I post most of my reactions and kind of thoughts throughout the game. And then a lot of the podcasts, the clips are going to be on the Locked On Diamondbacks socials. But yeah, definitely give an opportunity, give a chance if you want to listen to some more Diamondback stuff.
All right. So one last thing before we let you go, tell us some stuff to look forward to on your upcoming podcast. What are some things that you're going to be doing as far as subject matters on the next few episodes of Locked On Diamondbacks?
Yeah, definitely we talked a little bit about it on the show today. Definitely going to be hammering down trade deadline thoughts, some players to go out there and get. It's such a weird time because I've fluctuated between buy, sell, stand in the middle based on each Diamondbacks loss. There's so many that make you feel like they're going to buy, so many that make you think they're going to sell. But I just think they have so many holes, and I'm very all in on this team right now. I believe they have the structure. They just have to fill these holes that Mike Hazen did a bad job of fixing in the offseason. I mean, Carlos Santana didn't exactly fix their first base issue. So I just think there's a lot they need to go out and get at the trade deadline. So pitching, plenty of different players, starters, relievers, bats all throughout. And of course, bringing up some other things we talked about, the Moreno extension a few days ago, some other topics like that, looking at the team in the future. I want to do a lot of prospect talk. I think that's something that I haven't talked about enough, but for the foreseeable future, the next week or so, a lot of trade deadline things and some mock trades on top of that.
Okay. And I will have to say, I mean, I know that Mike Hazen has made some not so great deals, but he stole Nolan Arenado. And he has been fantastic for the Diamondbacks this season. I did not think that I thought he was going to do the Carlos Santana route, and we were going to have at each hot corner, but it's turned out at least one of them was okay. So it's just like what we were talking about earlier, right, Cheez? When you look back at the Juan Soto trade and we looked at all those pieces and parts, there's always, it seems like, one guy who overperforms that you didn't think was going to, and like Robert Hassel III, who underperformed and everybody thought he was going to be the next big thing. So trades are funny that way, and that's why this season is so much fun. George, thank you very much for being on, man. We appreciate it. We got one more segment here on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. I hope you guys all stay tuned for it, and I hope you guys go to Locked On Diamondbacks and get a good piece of George Lund. Thank you very much, buddy. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, bud. Talk to you soon. Cheez, that was fun, man. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good guy.
Yeah, we got the trade deadline coming up. I'm getting like all excited. It's like, give me goosebumps. I'm like, I'm ready to make all these deals. Like, I feel like I'm the GM. We're talking about it. I'm like, I want this guy and this guy and this guy, but I'm not going to give up my good prospects. You have to take what I win.
It is a very interesting time. We'll have a great time on Monday too.
I want your number 2 starter. I'll give you my number 10 prospect in my organization. How about that?
Mm-hmm. Hey, you never know. Some of that stuff happens. Some of that stuff really does happen. All right, buddy. We got Batting Cleanup sponsored by ForwardFan.com. Of course, ForwardFan.com right now has on their site the big game in February where you can actually go right now. If you believe in your team, go get those tickets. I don't have my phone right in front of me. I kept it off to the side because it kept going crazy earlier, so I kind of tossed it over on the sofa over there. So I can't get on ForwardFan.com and give you exact prices right at the moment, but I can tell you this. ForwardFan.com has every Major League Baseball team ready to go for you to get tickets for, and now they have every NFL team for you to get tickets for as well. So go to ForwardFan.com, use the code AGO10, all gloves off 10, and you'll get 10% more off whatever you're buying there. And not just the first time, every time you go to ForwardFan.com.
Do it, Arizona Cardinals fans. It's cheap. Do it. Jacoby Brissett. You got the Rays. Let's go. Jeremiah Love. Let's go. Do it.
I'm sure it is cheap.
It's cheap. Yeah. So do it.
No pitcher, Cheez, in Major League Baseball history has thrown over 14 pitches at 103 mile per hour or greater in any one single game. Okay. In his last start, Jacob Mazurowski threw 30 of them in the first 4 innings. What do you think about Jacob Mazurowski as a pitcher?
I think right now, I think he's my vote for Cy Young. I think he's been amazing. I would worry about if you're a Brewers fan, which I'm definitely not. But I would worry that they skipped his start before the All-Star break. Watching innings, I get it. You had like Cade Horton, the Cubs was amazing the second half last year. Immediately tore his elbow up. Started this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be interested to see if they skip start a few more times going forward. But anyone that throws that hard, yes, it's amazing. What he's doing just hasn't done since maybe like Randy Johnson. But at the same time, um, our bodies aren't supposed to throw that hard. So
Right. There's a reason why nobody's thrown that hard in major leagues.
So it's pretty incredible. At the same time, it's like we're waiting for him to get hurt.
Yeah, and if he does, there go the Brewers. I mean, right now, don't you think the Brewers go by way of Jacob Mezorowski?
Especially because Kyle Harrison, and even more important, Brandon Woodruff out for the year. Kyle Harrison's also hurt. So yeah, so he's definitely by far their best starter.
Do you, if you're the Milwaukee Brewers, do you give 4 of your top 20 prospects away to the Detroit Tigers to get Tarek Skubal to make the run right now?
If 4 top 20, yes, depending on who they are.
Mm-hmm.
They have a good farm system. I would not give up more than 1 top 50 and 2 top hundreds. But I would give up 4 of the top 20. I think if I were them, they could use a bullpen pitcher as well, a late inning reliever. But they have a really good team, and they just can't get over the hump. And part of the reason is they don't really go for it at the deadline. So yeah, I think it's time is now for the Brewers.
Okay. So we teased this. Let me put it up on the screen here. Dylan Cease, I teased it in the open, has actually done something that has got him on par with Nolan Ryan. And here it is, buddy. So Dylan Cease is the second MLB pitcher in the modern era to go 8+ innings, allow no more than 1 hit, and strike out 10 batters in consecutive road starts. The only other person to do it, Nolan Ryan, who did it in April of 1989. I don't know about you, Cheez, but I was looking at this stat, right? So 8+ innings, no more than 1 hit, and strike out 10. I thought somebody else would have done that before now. What do you think about that? Or is that just that much of a crazy stat that there's a reason why only Nolan Ryan and Dylan Cease have done it?
Well, 1 hit. 8 innings and 1 hit. That's just on the road. Like all that, there's a lot there. That's why it hasn't been done a lot. But that's pretty incredible. And they got criticized for giving him over $200 million, and it will probably bite them in the butt later on in the contract. But he's been tremendous this year. It's crazy. If you told me that Dylan Cease would be pitching this well, I would have thought the Blue Jays is the best record in the American League. I would have, because he went on the team last year and they were as good as anyone. So. Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
It is pretty incredible. I'll give it that. That's an incredible stat, but I don't know. It's just Nolan Ryan to me is the man. And anytime you can put yourself in a conversation with Nolan Ryan, you got to take full advantage of doing that.
He missed a lot of bats.
Yes, he did. All right, so another spot that we've got up here, I also teased this. I said, are home runs really that important? Chicks dig the long ball, right? It's what all the highlights are and everything else. It's all these home runs. But let me show you this graphic here. I'm going to have to take the top part of it off again. But there is the graphic, Cheez.
Okay.
Are home runs really that important? I'll start there and ask you.
Well, the reason you asked is the Brewers are dead last,
mm-hmm.
and they
look
have
where the Red Sox are. They're in 29th.
Yeah, they are important. But if you have elite pitching, you can win regular season games without it. If you have clutch hitters that can put the ball in play, won't strike out. That's what the Brewers have. They've had really good pitching, and they have hitters that will put the ball in play, not high strikeout rates. If you don't hit homers and you strike out a lot, then you're in trouble. I do think it could be a problem for the Brewers in the postseason. You've got to hit some home runs. You can't just manufacture. You're going to have games where you face elite pitching. You're going to have to hit more homers. So yes, it's important, and I think it's rare. It's rare that one of the best teams in baseball has the fewest homers. I mean, if you just look at I guess okay, well,
the bottom six. Look at the bottom six. That's what I was going to tell you.
I just realized Tampa Bay is in there. Arizona's in there. Yeah, but I mean, there's some bad teams in there as well.
But 5 of the bottom 6, I'm going to take out Toronto because they're not really in the playoff mix. 5 of the bottom 6 are in the playoff mix: Milwaukee, Boston, Arizona, Cleveland, Tampa Bay.
So we should just get guys that we should get like 9 Wade Boggs, or we should just get Luis Arias. We should get 9 of them. Let's just do it. Is that what you want?
Well, but then so the top team, Washington, they're in it. The second one, the Yankees, of course, are in it. The third place, Houston, I guess they're in it. Maybe not, prolific or whatever, but they're there in the conversation. Atlanta's certainly there. Cincinnati is trying to creep up, but I don't think they're going to have enough. Philadelphia, LA, Pittsburgh. I mean, are home runs that important? You've got a lot of people at the top that are doing it with home runs, and you got a lot of people at the bottom that are doing it without home runs. And then your middle teams, that's where Detroit, Anaheim, Minnesota, the Mets, Baltimore, Seattle, Texas, they're all right in the middle. So I don't know.
It depends what else you have. Like if you're not hitting homers, you need to hit for a higher average, and you need to not strike out a lot. It really just depends how your team is built and structured. But it's still important. You have to have some power. It's not like 96 is horrible. I mean, that's still at least it's about a homer a game, right? It's just not great. But when you hit a homer, it's 4 times better than a single. If no one's on base. No one's on base. A single's great if you're second and third, 2 out. That's when you want a single. But I love the Reds.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Are they going to sell? Should the Reds sell?
Yes, the Reds should sell.
They should. They should sell and load up that farm system.
Well, I said it earlier. I believe that the Reds are going to be one of these teams that buys and sells. They sell their expiring contracts to try to get some more people in their farm system. I think their biggest get is injured now, so I'm not sure how much they can get because now Spencer Steer is hurt.
Yeah, that one hurts. I think
it really did. It really hurt.
A lot of teams could use a player like Spencer Steer because he can play, like you said last week, he can play anywhere. So if you need a certain position in right-handed power, a lot of teams need that.
Well, let's see. Another comment from them. They are bad this year. They're not. Yeah, they're bad. They're below average. I hate to kind of admit to it, but yeah.
They should be better than they are, especially with a really good rookie like Sal Stewart.
Yeah, it feels like Sal Stewart, Ellie De La Cruz, feels like Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout.
Chase Burns, Hunter Green's back. I mean, this is like it's not one of those teams where like, oh, we're bad, we're gonna suck in the next few years. No, I didn't feel like that. There's a young core in place, so. It just hasn't gone great this year. After till about April 28th, 29th, it was going really well.
But then again, at the same point, they're 50 and 56, and they're 5 games out of the wild card.
The division record is what's killed them. They have not done well, and the teams that you're fighting against, you've got to beat them, and they just haven't.
Yeah, no, you're right, 100%. But I think some fans look at it and they're like, "Oh, we're only 5 games out. We should go for it." Here's the thing, right? So St. Louis is in front of them. I don't believe in St. Louis. I think they're slowly falling apart. I do believe the Reds will climb over them by season's end. The next team in front of them is the Miami Marlins. I feel the same way about the Miami Marlins that I do the St. Louis Cardinals. The Reds should be able to climb up over them. Then you've got the Padres, the Nationals, and the Pirates. So it's like, okay, you can climb over 2 teams, and I think they will, but then they've still got to get over the Pirates, the Nationals, and the Padres just to get to the final wild card. And I think that's a little bit too much to ask. I just don't think they can do all of that.
Yeah, you could go 14-3 your next 17 games, and the Diamondbacks could go 12-5 in the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't barely caught them at all. Like, you've barely moved the needle. So yeah,
Right.
it's one of those things. The Reds, it shouldn't be a big sell off. Definitely they're free agents and listen on maybe some other veterans, but yeah, it should be trying to improve the farm system and looking forward to, I was going to say 2027. We're not going to have a season. 2028 and beyond.
Here we go. But they do have a lot of expiring contracts that they can get stuff for. You got Tyler Stevenson behind the plate. You've got Nathaniel Lowe, as George mentioned, at
Johnson,
first base.
Is Brady Singer, Pierce Johnson? Are they
Brady Singer, Pierce Johnson, Brock Burke.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of expiring contracts. Eugenio Suarez, that you should be able to get something for. So I don't expect them to get top tier talent, but I expect them to be able to get people who can contribute at the major league level within the next 2 to 3 years. And, you're just bolstering your farm system that way. All right, buddy. One last thing here to get to on our batting cleanup, sponsored by ForwardFan.com, and it's this. I wanted to save this to the end because I had to do a double take on this stat, but I swear to you it is true. In 1977, Andrew Jones and Carlos Beltran were born one day apart, one on April 23rd and one on April 24th. Andrew Jones finished his career with 434 home runs. Carlos Beltran finished his career with 435 home runs, one apart. And on Sunday, they both entered the Baseball Hall of Fame together on the same day. Pretty amazing stat.
It is amazing. They both deserved it. And God, they were both such good players.
Mm-hmm.
They could absolutely hit. And I remember Andrew, I still will never forget, Andrew Jones, 19 years old, was called up, September 1st, so it could be at postseason. And, he's number one prospect in baseball back when I barely knew that, but they said it on TV, watching TBS Braves games as a kid. And they're like, 19 years old, it's 2 home runs in the World Series. And I'm like, we got
in Yankee Stadium.
And Yankee Stadium was like, we got a dude here. And they're like, he's the number one prospect in baseball. I'm like, what is that? Like, I didn't know what it was at the time. I'm like, okay, I guess that's good. Yeah. So I will never forget that. And yeah, they both had amazing careers. And I did not see what.
He was saying that he hoped they keep Tyler Stevenson, but they could trade all the pitchers away.
Yeah, they probably will definitely move some pitching because everyone needs pitching.
Yeah, and I think they'll move the catcher because a lot of teams, the Yankees, the Rays, the White Sox, they're all clamoring for catching depth.
Kyle
and help.
Teal is hurt for the White Sox, their catcher. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do it all, man. So we'll see. All right, Cheez. Hey, man, great show. Thank you to our guest, George Lund from the Diamondbacks spot there with Locked On. So go to LO_Diamondbacks on X, and then just simply look up Locked On Diamondbacks on YouTube, and you will see him there. Watch his stuff. Look at some different things. Great guy, great energy. Makes me feel really old. But, hey, so does everybody else because I am old, but that's all right. Cheez, anything you want to add to the end, buddy?
Spider-Man.
You're being on the old foot here today?
Yeah, Sean and I are seeing Spider-Man Thursday, so very excited.
Seeing Spider-Man comes out on Thursday?
Yes, we're seeing it Thursday. And you can follow me. Football
right
Cheez on X. Football, just Cheez, and then Football with Cheez is my YouTube channel. There's the mug. So make sure you do subscribe, hit the bell, all of that.
What are you going to be doing here over the next few weeks, Cheez? What are you looking at on your channel?
So we'll see.
Are Are you
I might
still
try
talking
to
about a little bit on every team?
I was thinking about doing a 3 or 4 minute video, just like positives, like how everything go right for your team, like what you should be excited about. It's very different from what I usually do. So I was thinking about doing that, but I definitely am going to make. So a friend of mine, he can listen to like podcasts at work and his job, and he listened to Pat McAfee every day. And then if there's something he thinks would interest me or I want a video about it, he sends it to me. And he sent me a video of they went through the group of them on the show and picked the NFC North winner. And I was shocked, like shocked that almost all of them picked the Packers. And I'm going to make a video explaining why I don't agree with that and
Okay.
why the main reason I don't. So that's probably coming out tomorrow or Thursday. But training camp, to answer your question, I think I'm going to just go through every team and just say, look, this could go well if this happens. Try to be more positive and see what happens. Because, I tend to be so brutally honest that it comes off sometimes as grumpy. I don't know if you knew that.
But I like brutally honest. As I said when I retweeted your stuff today, I would much rather you be that way than you sugarcoat stuff and not tell us exactly how you feel. So that's why you, sir, are on the Lights Out Sports podcast. And that's why all of our fans tune in to this show every Tuesday night. And some of them, they've got things they got to do on Tuesday nights. So they watch it on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, but they certainly watch. They're telling us that by the numbers that we're pulling in here on All Gloves Off Sports Media as well. All right, buddy. Hey, thank you very much for being here with us. Thank all of our people for being here with us. We appreciate you. And until next time.
Just real quick, trade deadline special. Anyone,
yes.
Baseball, we're going to do it that afternoon. Subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube's. So we're going to do a trade deadline special Monday afternoon. And then that Thursday next week, a week from Thursday, we're going to do a watch along for the Hall of Fame games. So, look forward to those. And we're not going to sit there and break down all the players in the third quarter of that game and if really make the team right. We're going to talk a lot of NFL. Like I said, we're doing a watch along, but we're going to talk a lot of NFL stuff. It's not going to be our typical watch along where we break down each play, so make sure you come out for those.
That's right. And then we are going to do, on top of that, I believe we can pretty much make this announcement as well, all of the international games. We're going to try to do watch-alongs on those as well. So you guys look forward to all of that.
Well, some of them, depending on what time they are, what day and time they are. We're going to try to do a lot of those, yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. I can't wait for the season to start. College, NFL, means the baseball playoffs are right there, so it will be a fantastic time of the year, and we hope all of you are with us for the ride right here on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. Until next week, you know what we say. The only thing that's fair in life is a baseball hit between the third and first base lines. Good evening, everyone.